After the shocking rise of the Nexus, where they held WWE hostage and ran rampant over the whole show, they took on Team WWE at SummerSlam. And they lost to John Cena. But 4 weeks later, Wade Barrett cashed in his NXT Season 1 prize-winning title shot in a 6-man match in the main event of Night of Champions, which he lost again. But 2 weeks after Night of Champions is Hell in a Cell, and the Nexus could be about to become more powerful than ever because Kane versus The Undertaker is the main story in the whole of WWE.
Isn't it amazing that is the main event?
Well, Paul Bearer's here. And what a finish. I foolishly wrote while I was watching the match, oh, I'm kind of feeling like Undertaker Kane is the Christian Randy Orton of this series. It's the Voodoo Kin Mafia of the series. You know, we start telling the story of one storyline, but then actually through that, we really get invested in a better storyline or a goofier storyline elsewhere. Undertaker Kane, pretty good. As I wrote that.
Shine the light.
the torch.
Yeah.
The PW torch defeated The Undertaker.
Which, it doesn't sorry, excuse me. Which doesn't blind him. It really does. Taker just goes, what are you doing? It is that, like, oh, ow. Well, that's annoying. Paul, what are you up to?
But yeah, the Nexus might be about to recruit John Cena, because if John Cena loses to Wade Barrett, where the rest of Nexus are banned from ringside, I've got a workaround, don't worry. Cena will have to join the Nexus, or the Nexus will disband. This is WWE Hell in a Cell 2010 in the rise and long, quick fall of the Nexus.
Yeah, it's been quite the ride over the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks build between, and we've said this before on this show, but it is worth repeating. This is not network era WWE where you got all of the shows included within your network subscription. Each of these shows cost you $40. So they charged you $40 for Night of Champions, then 2 weeks later asked for another $40 for this show, and then 3 weeks time will ask you for another $40 for bragging rights.
Surely when WWE released the WWE Network, the disposable income of the people of the United States of America went way up.
No, because no one bought these pay-per-views.
Oh, that's it. That's the problem.
That's the problem. We've actually got some bragging rights news coming up because there is some, according to the Wrestling Observer, internal concern about bragging rights. So we'll get to that shortly.
Which is about 3 weeks after this.
3 weeks after this, yeah.
And then there's...
Then it's Survivor Series. Which is like I don't know, 3 weeks after that as well.
Good grief.
And then it's TLC in December, which will be the last episode of this series.
Which seems like a jam-packed schedule, but as we're recording this in July 2025, WWE have put on more shows in a shorter span of time.
But they are on a Peacock subscription or a Netflix subscription if you're here in the UK. So like that is... You're only paying one thing. You're not buying... They're not asking you to buy each of these pay-per-views individually.
Money-wise, yes. It's a easier sell. But creative? Promoting that many shows at once?
I mean, they're doing 3 shows in 2 days.
Maybe it's a bit much. So obviously we've got the rise and fall of the Nexus, which is bad. We've got The Undertaker versus Kane, which is worse. But the bit I enjoyed most on Hell in a Cell, which I'll get into now, is the amount of words they use to describe Hell in a Cell.
It's from the intro to the show.
Diabolical, obviously. Perverted. Unforgiving. I've written down every single word. Repulsive. Perverted's my favourite, though.
Perverted, that's such a Vince McMahonism as well.
You're telling me. Allegedly. I just more meant of like, that is a word that he loved. When he did the Undertaker DDP stalking angle, it was, people worked out it was Vince McMahon that was doing the voiceover. It was never Diamond Dallas Page. And it is using verbiage like that sort of perverted thing. I think he sort of really liked those sorts of characters or the sort of words that a pervert might use. You sort of look through the window and you can hear something rustling in the bushes. Wait. There's a Hell in a Cell structure. jacking off in the bushes. You perverted Hell in a Cell.
Well, I mean, I'm going to get to it later because I first wrote in my notes that intro package, oh, this is being told from the viewpoint of the Hell in a Cell. And then it was like, oh no, it's the viewpoint of the devil who is using the Hell in a Cell as his personal toy. And then in the end, it says, I am Hell in a Cell. So I was like, okay, who is the viewpoint then? Is it Hell in a Cell? Because it starts talking about itself in the third person.
Look, if James Joyce wrote this, people would be perverting all over it, English literature majors, because, oh wow, the POV, it changes all the time. What is the truth of the narrator? Like, no, I don't think they thought it through.
No.
I think he just hammered out words like ChatGPT, writing a promo. And it doesn't actually make sense by the end.
No, but the big point that we are here for this show in terms of our Nexus chronicling of their downfall is if John Cena loses tonight, he must join the Nexus. And if Nexus lose, they must disband. So this was like, this is a big point, a big turning point. Not even a turning point in the storyline, but it is a big beat within the storyline here because they've been feuding with John Cena. And now John Cena might have to join their ranks. And I would argue this is actually the really bad period of this storyline because it's when John Cena just seems to not care anymore about it and puts as little effort into getting this over as possible.
Yeah, I agree because it's easy to look back on the episodes we've done so far and go like, oh man, within a couple of weeks after Money in the Bank when they're chucking the keys away, like you could see the warning signs there. But really, even after the 7-on-7 match, there was still a buzz about the Nexus. You could still go, well, at least they're mid-carders, and Wade Barrett is probably a main event guy now, but they aren't going to be the cool NWO faction we all thought of. And then they put this stipulation out there. John Cena could join the Nexus. Yeah, right. Not going to happen. I guess the Nexus are disbanding 3 months after they debuted. But, spoiler, that's not what happens.
Yeah.
Wade wins via
fans interference.
Yeah. Members of the Nexus, the IWC become manifest.
Yeah.
And John Cena, at the end of not the end of this episode, that would make it much better, a much better cliffhanger. He's dejected.
It's crestfallen.
He's doing sad Cena face.
It's really
Kids
good.
in the crowd are lamely crying.
It's brilliant.
Maybe it was brilliant at the time. Me watching it here, I thought it was really goofy and overwrought.
See, I actually think I think it was brilliant at the time, Cena having to join the group because, like, you don't have to see the stupid t-shirts anymore. Like, do stupid John Cena t-shirts. So at the time, I was like, this is a really interesting beat in this story. And actually go back and watching it now, I'm like, this is a brilliant beat within this story that the hero has to join the villain's side. That Spider-Man has to join the Sinister Six. Like, this is some really, really good stuff within here. It is massively undermined the next night on Raw because John Cena never wears a Nexus t-shirt. The first thing he does is tags with Michael Tarver and purposely loses the match and then beats up Michael Tarver and gets him kicked out of the group. So within like one segment, you're like, oh, okay, well, this is not going to be what I thought it was then.
Yeah, because you could have this could be the Infinity War. Oh my God, they've done it. They've wiped out half of the universe and half of the main characters. Having Cena lose, the landscape of WWE after Hell in a Cell is, I want to see what happens with Cena in the Nexus. Yeah, they didn't win at SummerSlam, but it feels like WWE have course corrected and are gonna make this a proper main event act with Cena involved. Long-term story, build to Mania. Mm-hmm. Maybe Cena wins the Rumble and ends up facing Wade, and you can do all that stuff. But we don't get that, like he said. And it's just, that is really the death knell.
Yeah.
Because you can't come back from how... what's the word? Like how unseriously Cena takes it all, and then a couple of months later they do the firing angle.
Yeah, that's the next. I think is that a bragging rights. The Survivor Series, I think, is when they do the firing angle.
And Cena takes that less seriously.
Yeah, because he's on the show the next night. He's been fired from WWE. No, he's there just the next night on Raw. And actually, I know, to the credit of WWE, on that episode of Raw, the one that comes after this, where he does massively undermine the angle, and when we say he, the booking massively undermines the angle in the very first segment.
No, John Cena as a person.
The story then becomes that if Cena disobeys Wade's orders, he will be fired. So, like, at the end of the night, he helps Wade Barrett. Well, it doesn't help Wade Barrett, but it's a battle royal to determine the new number one contender to Randy Orton. And Cena eliminates Sheamus, so it just comes down to Cena and Barrett. And Barrett tells Cena to go over the top rope so that he can win. And Cena has to do it, otherwise he's going to lose his job. So that creates Barrett to be the new number one contender for the WWE Championship, which we'll see on bragging rights. Which actually, patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where you can go listen to our review of that right now, because it's up there for your listening and visual pleasure.
Well, finish this episode first.
Yeah,
and then go watch
and
it.
then go and watch it.
We've also got episode 2, which was Money in the Bank.
Correct.
And then we've got episode 3, which was Night of Champions.
Episode 4 is Night of Champions. Episode 3 was
so
SummerSlam.
complicated.
But it's what it does also then kind of add up to, when you look back on it through, and actually at the time, Nexus can't win unless Cena's involved. Nexus can't beat John Cena. Like, they can't. They tried to at SummerSlam and they lost. They tried to again at Night of Champions and they lost. The only reason that that Nexus won here is because they had that workaround of the rules of two members of Nexus interfered, but they weren't members of Nexus at the time. It's the Big Boss Man angle from King of the Ring 1999. Who raised the briefcase? It was the Boss.
No one knows.
It was the Boss Man.
Greatest unsolved mystery.
The Boss Man did
wrestling.
it. They literally say the next night the Boss Man did it.
I guess we'll just have to never know.
We'll never know. So, and again, Wade only becomes the number one contender because Cena lets him. They can't win unless Cena wins it for them, and it hugely makes the group feel like a bunch of losers, and it makes Cena look too powerful. So like they'll never look good against the all-powerful person, and there's no drama or conflict in the hero quite easily beating the villain every single time.
Yeah, they go from, again, that sort of NWO, cool invading force, who are unique in and of themselves and stars, really, and draws in and of themselves, to very quickly just becoming the villain of the pay-per-view cycle for John Cena.
Yeah. And
just like Rusev was.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Bray Wyatt. And it's we've gone through big changes in this group as well. Darren Young's no longer part of the group. Michael Tarver has his last night in the group. Yeah, he's kicked out of the group the following night on Raw because he gets injured. He gets a groin injury, so he's kicked out of the group.
So Skip's injured. Tarver gets injured.
So from the original angle, Danielson is kicked out of the group, like the following week, because he got fired.
A shoot firing.
Then Skip Sheffield got injured, so he was kicked out of the group. Then Darren Young was kicked out of the group. And then Michael Tarver gets injured and he's kicked out of the group. And we're replacing them with Husky Harris and Michael McGillicuddy from season 2 of NXT.
Bray Wyatt, of course. Yeah. So you're either with us or against us. But if you are with us and you get injured, we kick you out.
Yeah. And with the Michael Tarver thing
WWE.
is that, so Cena tags with Michael Tarver. They lose a tag match because Cena won't tag in and he keeps like dropping down to take photos with fans and sign things. Tarver then gets beaten by Mark Henry and another person, probably Evan Bourne or something. And then Cena beats up Tarver after the match. And then there's a backstage segment with Wade Barrett who's like, I was actually looking for an excuse to kick Tarver out of the group, so you did me a favor. And that's it. That's Tarver, Dunzorelli from the Nexus.
Yeah, there's too many people in this faction. God, can we let's just get rid of them. We shouldn't have debuted with 8 people. Yeah. What were we thinking?
Yeah, we started with 8. We are down to 5.
Were there any members of the original NXT season 1 who weren't in the faction?
Oh, there was all of them. It
was all of them.
Yeah, it was 8
contestants.
8 contestants, and
right.
all 8 of them were in the original lineup of the Nexus, which then obviously is 7 by the time you get to SummerSlam just a couple of months later.
I mean, it's annoying that they did that because you could have just booked them all as this big group, but it's not unsurprising because you imagine signing literally everyone on the first day of a developmental talent show.
Yeah.
They're not all going to be great.
They're not, but
they were eliminated for a reason.
Yeah, but we kept saying at the start of this, you only need 2 main eventers.
Yes.
Like you're not trying to create 8 new main eventers in this. You're trying to create 2 main events. Wade and Skip probably were going to be the guys. I'd have done it as Wade and Gabriel. But Gabriel also could have been completely solid in that upper mid card. Yeah. If Danielson had stayed in the group, solid, and then you'd have had 4 top guys in that faction, 2 main eventers, 2 upper mid cards. Then the rest of them can just be the cannon fodder, the B team, the NWO B team that can be beaten. And that's fine because then they can be the goons that get beaten up.
But respectable tag team champions.
But they don't do that with them either, really. They're actually just 8 goons. They're just like, or 7 goons, I suppose. They're all just 7 losers, with Wade being sort of pretending, like a pretender to the throne of being in the main event. It's a push, but they're not really pushing him. It's the Sheamus as WWE champion. Yeah, sure, you've got the title, but you're never winning matches clean or beating top stars because you're not really a top star.
I think there is a timeline where the Nexus is what the Shield were. You know, like all 3 of those guys became the tippity top guys, and that original faction still plays into the dynamics between them now. We could have had in 2025 Wade, Skip, well, maybe Ryback by then, Gabriel, and Daniel Bryan as proper main eventers in the company and over in AEW.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
And we would still reference the Nexus shared past.
Yeah, the Nexus is what brought them to this dance. And I think that Shield is probably, we'll talk about this when we get to the final episode of this run, but I think with the Shield, they probably learnt a lot of lessons from the Nexus. Don't do it with 8, maybe do it with 3. Three is more, you can focus easier with 3.
Especially when actually you're only choosing 1.
Well, yeah,
as Roman Reigns.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's 3. We're just picking 3 guys. They're easy to focus on, and we're 3 guys that we want to be big deals, as opposed to here, it's like got 8 guys, but really we're only interested in 2 of them. Because that instantly, right off the bat, means you've got 6 guys you don't care about, which makes up 80% of your group.
Yeah.
Would you like some news from the Observer?
I would love some. I mean, we've just had news from 2 weeks before this, so I'm curious what's changed.
Not a huge amount, actually. There's not a load of news for us to get to. But Dave writes here, there's pretty much a consensus on the creative side that things need to change and be shaken up. The feeling is that something big is going to happen. It may have been decided, but it's being kept secret, and most of the creative team doesn't even know. The only thing being said is that things will be different come January, but since virtually nobody knows what that means, no one can judge if it's a good or bad thing.
Well, the thing that changes is The Rock, right?
Yeah.
The Rock comes back. Were those discussions in here now?
Oh, yeah, probably.
I mean, I bet if you're reading it at this point and the week after, you're like, oh, they're talking about the Cena joining the Nexus angle. That's going to be the big, crazy change. Cena might turn heel. But no, it was The Rock coming back and The Miz winning the WWE title.
There's quite a lot on Linda. I would say that that's the majority of the WWE coverage is Linda McMahon's run to try and get her Republican nomination. But this is a little funny one. Whether this has legs or not, Linda McMahon got a lot of negative publicity that seems to have resonated this time, stemming from remarks when speaking before the National Federation of Independent Business, where it was reported that Linda spoke about abolishing a minimum wage, and then when questioned, had no idea what the minimum wage was.
Excellent.
Part of it was a stretch, as having heard the speech, all she said was she was open to reviewing it, saying she's not sure it should be raised. There were reporters who started asking her questions about it, and they were cut off because her staff realised she was on shaky ground and they shut down the press conference. Actually, the shutting of the press conference after her people realised she did not come off good to lower paid workers only made the story bigger.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's
unsurprising she never got properly elected in a democratic way to anything. But money.
But money, what she did, she failed upwards because, she's part of it now. Did you hear, by the way, that the CEO of IKEA has become president of Sweden?
What?
Yeah, he's assembling his cabinet now.
It's very good.
Thank you, man.
It's very good. The anger there is that I didn't see it coming. Yeah. Well done.
Thank you. So here's an interesting one. TNA still has Mick Foley under contract.
Now we're in the meat of the podcast.
We're not at TNA news yet. We're not at TNA. This is actually WWE news. But TNA contracted talent Mick Foley has got a new book out, Countdown to Lockdown. And WWE plugged it on Raw and on their website and on SmackDown. Even though this is a story, this is all about him working at TNA, it's him winning the TNA Championship, and it's feud with culminating in the match with Sting where he loses the belt. That's his new book. It's about TNA. It's being plugged on WWE.
You know what? I've not read that. I've read all of... Well, have I read all of Foley's books? I've read the first 2 or 3 Foley books.
Everyone did.
But that one passed me by. I bet that's a real fun read. He's a great writer.
Yeah. The Mick Foley plug on Raw last week was due to WWE and Vince in particular being happy with him for defending Linda McMahon and not speaking up against Linda McMahon in major newspaper stories, particularly given that it's a close race and Foley is a staunch Liberal Democrat and the balance of power of the Senate is up for grabs with a few key seats, this being one of them in this election. The book plug was something written into the script of the show and was a direct call made by Vince McMahon. The company also gave him a story about the book on the website and plugged the book again on the live SmackDown. I think he also touched on a nerve because not only did Foley defend Vince McMahon, but he took the tact of how the media picks on wrestling and they don't understand it, which is near and dear to Vince's heart since his company has been blamed so much of late for wrestling deaths and drug addictions.
Wow. So back in 2010, I think we all treated Linda's political ambitions and all sort of wrestling political aspirations before then, like Bob Backlund.
Yeah.
As kind of a joke.
You're not Jesse Ventura.
Yes. The one success story there. But man, 15 years later, it does feel like wrestling is a very political force. At least, well, no, not even at least in WWE, because AEW is very much positioning itself as the left liberal, well, I don't know, liberal means something else these days, but the left-wing version of WWE.
Yeah.
So it's weird how much politics has become wrestling.
Yeah.
Wrestling has become politics.
I also think it's just the most Vince McMahon thing of this era, which is like, if you are good, if you defend him, he will go to great lengths to thank you for it. So like Dave also says in the newsletter, and I think Brian Alvarez writes about it as well, the idea being we see you as a legend and we don't have any stars at the moment, so we would like to have you come back at some point so that we can use you as a draw again. But it's just like, it's a thank you for speaking up about Linda McMahon, because that's actually one of the most important things in the company at the moment is that Linda wins.
Yeah.
Like, spoilers, we'll go into this later. That's why they have the Make-A-Wish advert in this show.
Is it really?
It's for Linda. It's all for Linda's campaign.
Oh, man, that's gross.
It's like in 2001 when the invasion...
Space Odyssey. Doesn't remember that scene.
Space Odyssey. When the invasion was actually probably like the sixth most important thing in Vince McMahon as a businessman, because it was actually the XFL was more important, WWF New York was more important, this going public was more important than actually this wrestling thing is really low down the list of priorities. I get the impression here Linda winning is actually the most important thing to WWE right now, and the wrestling is secondary.
Well, because especially if she gets in, and this is what happened with the Trump presidency, if she gets in, then she can have jurisdiction over certain things that impact WWE, like independent contractors and unions and things like that.
It's a good job she knows about minimum wage then. Todd Grisham has borne the brunt of Vince's unhappiness with announcing. Michael Cole was put on the SmackDown debut on Sci-Fi because Vince has been unhappy with Grisham, and at one point backstage cut one of those famous Vince promos on an announcer in front of a lot of people saying this was such an important show and he wasn't getting it done. The impression I was given is Vince was so unhappy on the live show that Cole was sent out, and then on this week's Cole did SmackDown again.
Well, I guess this is one big thing that has happened since Night of Champions. SmackDown has moved to Sci-Fi.
Sure has. And the announcing team that they put out there was Todd Grisham and Matt Stryker. Todd Grisham and Matt Stryker were your lead announcers for this big show.
You scoff now, but honestly, and I probably thought it at the time, finally, some fresh voices. We liked Matt Stryker back then.
I've said on this show that I was a Stryker defender. Listening back to him now, I cannot believe that I was. He is bloody awful on this show.
Stryker defender. It's like a very unique position in the football.
Stryker is dreadful on this show. He is all over the place.
Yeah, but he's more listenable. I like him more than Cole and Lawler.
King is so done with Matt Stryker on this show. It's hilarious.
I think that's probably where that's Stryker's biggest benefit, is that he's on the booth with turning heel Michael Cole and totally disinterested Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
Which makes him sound like the next Bobby Heenan.
He cares.
Yeah.
At least he actually watches this thing and has interest in it. And also, we'll get to it later. WWE is trying to position the NXT as going to be the first television show to leave TV for the internet, like it's a revolutionary, ahead of its curve move. I mean, you can't expect them to say that they have to put it on TV because they couldn't get a television deal for the show. But the funny part about claiming it as the first and as a revolutionary is they already did the same thing 5 years ago with Sunday Night Heat and Velocity. Can't even remember their own history. But
well, it's wrestling promotion. Yeah. They probably do, but they just say this to turn what could be seen as a failure. They turn it into something that seems like a positive, which is a PR thing, and as a company, it's actually what they should be doing.
And then we got the note. Tarver was removed from Nexus due to a groin injury that will keep him out of action. Alberto Del Rio was very close to quitting all that long ago.
What?
Saying he wasn't making much money and was ready to return to Mexico. At that point, that's when they started bringing him on the road, planned the vignette, and got him going. People in developmental were shocked because he showed nothing there and even got some bad reviews for his work. I remember seeing him as Alberto Banderas on TV, and he was a babyface, and he seemed like a decent working bland guy, and he'd been face for most of his career. His promos were just there, so it's quite the deal how he surprised everyone with his promos, how he carries himself with his mannerisms in his role. I don't know if they're still going out to do this or wait until he goes face, but at one point there were plans of inducting Mil Mascaras into the Hall of Fame this year and have Del Rio, his nephew, give the speech. So yeah, apparently Del Rio was close to going out the door until they were like, okay, fine, we'll put you on TV then.
Well, I think in that era, if you stood up for yourself, I think that would get you respect backstage.
Yeah.
If he just stood there, if he stayed there and did nothing and was like, I'm just going to pay my dues, he would probably not get anywhere. But even though he had a legacy in Mexico and he has Mil Mascaras as his uncle.
Uncle, yeah.
But Vince probably saw that and heard that and was like, this guy's got balls. And then he gives him that aristocratic gimmick, which is one of Vince's more preferred archetypes.
Yeah.
And Del Rio did really well in the role.
So good. Watching him, he has his pay-per-view debut on this show in a promo segment. And it is like watching him, it was like, it was just fully formed. He's right there ready to win the Royal Rumble, which he will do in 2011. Bragging rights already had disaster written all over it, coming the day after UFC 121. Combine that with what is a terribly weak concept, the Brett Favre, the league's biggest TV ratings draw, returning to Lambeau Field in Green Bay as a member of the Vikings, going head-to-head on NBC, and the possibility of also going head-to-head with the seventh game, if there is one, of the National League Championship Series. If they do anything but the second worst number in modern company history, it would be tabbed as almost a success.
So this is in 2 weeks' time. This is bragging
3 weeks'
rights.
time.
3 weeks'
Come
time.
on, 3 weeks' time.
So much time to build these stories.
Got to give the fans a break. So yeah, Dave actually is really funny here. The themed element of the show, Raw vs. SmackDown, isn't going to have any interest since the trophy wasn't put over as anything meaningful or talked about again. Plus, the whole team concept is flawed if you look at last year's lineup, as Team SmackDown was Jericho, moved to Raw, Kane, still on SmackDown, R-Truth, moved to Raw, Matt Hardy, suspended, Tyson Kidd, now on Raw, and D.H. Smith, now on Raw, and Fit Finlay, retired. And the Team Raw was Triple H, now on leave, Michaels, retired, Big Show, now on SmackDown, Rhodes, now on SmackDown, Swagger, now on SmackDown, Kingston, now on SmackDown, and Henry, the only guy still on Raw.
I mean, this was the thing at the time, and it was around the Survivor Series things later in the decade as well. All of a sudden, all the main storylines are going to stop because people put on a T-shirt of a certain colour.
Well, not Triple H.
Not Triple H.
People wonder, like, why does Luke always go on about Triple H? Do you remember when everyone else had to wear the geeky Raw and SmackDown T-shirts, but Triple H got to wear his own merchandise? Because he knows it makes you look like a geek, but won't stand up for anyone else to not look like a geek.
Well, because he looks cooler because everyone else looks like a geek. It's not about bringing people up with you.
Yeah.
It's about keeping them down.
It's keeping them down and burying Kurt Angle at the same time. On the creative side, they're also questioning why a Raw vs. SmackDown multiple-person match would take place on a pay-per-view right before Survivor Series. Yeah. At press time, they've only sold 5,300 tickets for the Target Center in Minneapolis, one of the worst pay-per-view attendances in a long time.
It's good dynamite these days, though.
Yeah. And Tyler Black had his debut for FCW in Tampa, now wrestling as Seth Rollins, losing to Michael McGillicuddy.
Who would, like you just said, very quickly be called up to the main roster.
Yeah. We've also got a name change for Aaron Haydad, who is now better known as Aaron the Idol Stevens, will now be called Damian Sandow.
Aaron Haydad?
Yeah, Haddad. It's Haddad.
Oh, okay. Because his real name's Aaron Stevens.
Aaron Stevens.
Yeah.
Some Ring of Honor news. The latest cut move is to book fewer people for shows.
So this is my proper intense era of Ring of Honor now.
Yeah.
Because it was the SummerSlam finish that sort of led me to what else is out there. Ring of Honor's going on Sinclair. I can watch it. I think I could. Yeah, you could sign up and you could watch it for free.
Okay. Austin Aries, Necro Butcher, Eric Stevens, and the Dark City Fight Club were all told this past week that they're not going to be used for a while. They were given the impression they would be brought back, although the impression we have for Aries on being brought back aren't good, which is more of a locker room deal, as he's one of the company's best and most talented workers and talkers. Aries may have been let go earlier, but former booker Adam Pearce always went to bat for keeping him. New booker Hunter Johnson, Delirious, wants them to be gone for a while and repackage them, and in particular have Stevens out of the embassy and have Necro Butcher go back to being the old Necro Butcher of a few years ago. There may be others after the current programs are up. They have been using less expensive talent like Mike Bennett, Kyle O'Reilly, and Adam Cole. We're told between that move and the cutting 2 of the 5 office employees, they are losing less money and won't have to resort to as many sales to get cash quickly into the company.
Well, it's a business thing as well. The Ring of Honor was losing money loads and one of the easiest things you can do is cut people that you're not really using as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with the Aries stuff. Aries has consistently been one of the most great all-round wrestlers, but there always seems to be something about his behind-the-scenes behavior that rubs people the wrong way.
Remember when he just walked out of that match with in TNA? Never to be seen again.
Yeah. Oh, it's a work, I'm sure. They'll pay it off one day.
One day. I mean, there's still time.
But look, he was getting a decent push on WWE as the Cruiserweight champion.
He was the face of that division for a while.
The purple man.
Yeah.
But even WWE had enough of him.
Yeah. Right,
even WWE, but they often have enough of people.
Here we are, 32 minutes into the show.
TNA!
It's TNA time, everyone. And also, big time for TNA. We're 1 week out from Bound for Glory.
Oh.
10-10-10 Bound for Glory.
The biggest show of the year.
Biggest show of the year.
It's hugely promoted. Tell me it's going to beat Bragging Rights.
I don't think it will beat Bragging Rights in the pay-per-view buy rates. We have reviewed 10-10-10 Bound for Glory. It's in the archives on patreon.com/WrestleTalk. A classic TNA show. Loved it. But here's some news heading into Bound for Glory. Expect several major changes as far as face to heel turns, a new group or groups coming out of the next week. Because 10-10-10 is the launch of Immortal, the new top heel faction that'll be running roughshod over TNA for the next calendar year.
Which is Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Abyss, and Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, and Eric Bischoff.
And Eric Bischoff.
And Flair joins later, I think. So I think he joins as part of Fortune. Or does he leave Fortune to... Because the Fortune, I think, do become part of Immortal for a bit. Yeah,
because Fortune is...
there we go.
Has... I think Beer Money. James Storm and...
Correct.
Robert Roode. And AJ Styles.
Yes.
Where was this on Survival Series?
I mean, Immortal, by the way.
TNA faction members.
Yeah.
What a category.
Well, we were doing taping of Brainbusters the other day, and we got our 2 topics, and me and Adrian Arturo, we were there. It was like, if we do a TNA episode, like we're going to absolutely crush it, specifically if it's TNA 2005 through to 2009. I mean, I'll be dead good at that. I'm just going to bring up the wrestling group here. The Wikipedia article for it, because I want to see if you can name every member of Immortal, because I'll be honest, there's loads. There's way more than you think.
Stephen Amell. Rosaria Dawson. So I've done... We're counting Fortune.
Yeah. So you've had Abyss, Bischoff, Hogan, Jeff Hardy, and Fortune. Mm-hmm. And I'll also give you Ric Flair.
Jeff Jarrett at some point?
Jeff Jarrett does join the group. He actually is one of the founding members of the group.
Oh, what a group.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan, Jeff Jarrett, Abyss and Jeff Hardy and Eric Bischoff.
Yep.
To be joined by Ric Flair and AJ Styles. What were they thinking? Oh, man. Who else? Not Samoa Joe.
No, Joe never joins the
Well,
group.
because Kaz is in there, did Daniels join eventually? I'll say Daniels.
Christopher Daniels is an incorrect answer. That's your first strike.
Can I have some clues?
I'll tell you, one of them is a referee.
Oh, God.
One of them is a valet.
Earl.
One of them is... no, it's not Earl. One of them...
Is it A. Hebner?
It's not a Hebner, no. One of them is a... let me try and
Is it
think.
Slick Johnson?
One of them is currently working for WWE in this period of time, but is looking to... It will be released soon and will be joining TNA.
As the referee?
No. One of the other members. I'm giving you some clues. One of them is a bit of a patron saint of WrestleTalk
Kevin
Extra.
Nash?
No.
Scott Steiner?
Scott Steiner joins the group in June of 2011, lasts until March of 2012. Man, the
I
group
thought
goes way
Scott
long.
didn't like Hogan.
But yeah, so Scott Steiner is an answer.
I'm out. I don't know who else.
So it's Gunner joins,
Of course. The blue blood hot prospect.
and which also means by extension, so does Murphy.
Mhm.
Gunner and Murphy join. Jackson James is the referee that joins the group. Rob Terry joins the group.
Really?
Matt Hardy is the one who joins the group. He joins
I
in
should have
January.
said Matt Hardy.
Karen Jarrett, Ric Flair, Bully Ray, Tommy Dreamer, Chris Harris, Scott Steiner, Mr. Anderson, and Kurt Angle. All are part of Immortal.
But the whole roster. Think of all the turns that Vince Russo got to write, though.
Look at this timeline. Look at that.
Who's in it? Who's in it right at the end?
Who's in it right at the end? So the end people are Bischoff, because Hogan gets kicked out of the group. So it's Bischoff, Ric Flair, Kazarian, James Storm, Gunner. Look at Gunner's run.
Oh, yeah.
He joins it early doors, and he's there till the very end.
Well, now you've said it, I think Immortal, I think Gunner.
and signing new deals. Bully Ray and Kurt Angle.
So only Bischoff was the original.
Only, and technically Gunner, because he was then, starts October 10th. He's joined October 21st. He's OG, man. That's the first set of tapings. So anyway, so we get some changes. Where was I on my observer notes?
Just going to turn off the aircon.
Go for it. The long-term plan was for Kurt Angle to be champion and Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan to be heels and Sting be a top babyface coming out of Bound for Glory, but it's all subject to change. The Hogan situation is interesting because he's showing himself looking so hurt with the recent back hospitalizations, which seem to work against a heel turn. There are those in the company noting just how strongly they go on television with the hospitalization, that there is more than meets the eye here. Not that he doesn't have bad back, but perhaps some of this is an angle. Now, why would you want to portray Hogan as being so hurt for his return when the goal is to turn him heel? Well, that doesn't seem to make any sense. Hogan is still on schedule to wrestle on 10/10 in the Hogan and Jeff Jarrett Samoa Joe versus Kevin Nash Sting and Pope match, which I don't think he does.
D'Angelo De Niro.
Yeah, I don't think he does wrestle that match. If there's a long planned out angle here, Hogan may have to be on the apron even if his back isn't ready. And again, there are people skeptical of what is and isn't real on that injury. I mean, he's got a bad back, has had for years, but it's all the stuff he's making sure gets out of something will end up being part of a storyline. Here's some more TNA news. TNA did drug testing several weeks back and wrestlers failed the test and were told that they'd failed the test and there was no disciplinary action or suspension over at least some, if not all, of the failures.
We're going to test because we've said we'll test, but...
It's good press for us to test. That's all we'll
we
say.
test our performers all the time.
All the time.
I'm mad.
We catch them
They're
out.
all on. But we do our part.
We sure do. We'll strongly, tell them off for it. The basic message is that people are still doing what they were doing, and there are people concerned after the testing because they knew they would fail. The monitoring of the testing was also said not to be at the level of WWE, where you have someone watching you and your pants have to be below your knees and your shirt above your nipples to make sure you aren't sneaking someone else's urine into the testing. Which is quite commonplace. Sarah Del Rey, in an interview with Diva Dirt, said that after TNA decided not to sign her, they told her she needed to be more of what the beautiful people have. I guess that means silicon. Quote, TNA did tell me I needed more of what the beautiful people have, and I kind of took that in a sense to be more feminine. And I thought, oh, you already have a roster full of that.
Yeah.
End quote. This is the Bischoff and Hogan era of TNA, which is actually all that Knockouts division stuff that was doing really well We're not going to do any of that. And we're going to go to do what WWE does with Divas wrestling, where you're not actually wrestlers, you're just fitness models.
Which is such a stupid take.
What to take something that's successful and not do it.
But not just
That's Eric Bischoff for you.
It's not just not doing the successful thing. It's taking the thing that's actively bad somewhere else.
Yeah, that's not getting over or making money or being a draw.
And it was just Eric Bischoff. I always tell this story because I think it is one of his genius moments. When he gets the book for WCW, he writes a list of all the things that Raw's doing and WWE are doing, and he makes a list of all the opposites. And he says, that's what WCW Nitro will be.
Yeah, what he did is he turned on ECW, and it was like, maybe we should just copy what they're doing.
And here he is, having known that lesson, and he goes, let's make the ring 4 sides, let's push all the old guys, and let's turn our Knockouts division into a Divas division, i.e. doing exactly what Raw and SmackDown are doing.
Yep. When TNA started the Knockouts division, they were just put in segments with virtually no one thought to booking other than you would win and build the next match. Soon, the Knockouts consistently had the highest rated segments on the show when they were focused on, in Awesome Kong, Gail King and ODB, who got over with the live crowd, became big stars. Angelina Love and Velvet Sky also started getting over as a heel team. Then they started booking TNA angles with the women focused on the beautiful people, and the ratings for the women went down. What exactly was learned from this? That the wrestling audience only wants to see beautiful women in over-angled segments.
Yeah, because the thing about, Awesome Kong and Gail Kim, it was about the wrestling and the characters.
Yeah.
And that's what, funny enough, resonated with the wrestling fans. Beautiful people, great act.
Loved the beautiful people.
And I actually really enjoyed Angelina Love wrestling.
Me too.
But yeah, they stood out because they weren't like everyone else.
Yeah. Because wrestling is having a menagerie of different types of people.
Because as Triple H knows, if everyone looks the same, you can't stand out. That's why you need everyone to wear the Raw t-shirts.
We're going to end off here with a brilliant TNA story. TNA did a publicity stunt before a show in Columbus. Jeff Hardy, Jeremy Borash, and Shannon Moore all put on Twitter that they would be appearing at a location in town and giving away backstage passes. A throng of people showed up all at the same time, and the owner of a store, seeing the mob in a parking lot, called the police. The police came to disperse the mob. Those same police came to the show later that night to get photos taken with the wrestlers. Unfortunately, that didn't make much difference, as even with Jeff Hardy, the company's top drawer, headlining in the Carolinas, they drew 700 fans that night.
Oh, no. Those numbers sound so bad these days in the light of what like AEW or even like some of the large indie shows do. But yeah, 700 fans back then. It's kind of standard.
If anything, that's actually, that's a disappointing number for TNA, but really a successful number for TNA is 900.
Ring of Honor would kill for 700 back then.
Oh man, Ring of Honor would love 700 fans showing up to their shows. They were right near the arena before the doors opened, so the people in line waiting to get in heard about the backstage passes and all rushed the place. Whatever the numbers in the building, those who came are super enthusiastic, and I was told by one person who's been around wrestling for a long time that you cannot imagine the reaction some fans have to Jeff Hardy, in the sense they're almost in tears meeting him. They said it's absolutely amazing, and he's gotten a big head because it's a reaction on a different level more than anyone else has ever seen. And 2 days later, they're going to turn him heel. Or like less than a week later, they're going to turn him into the top heel of the company.
Yeah.
Morons.
I don't get it with Jeff Hardy.
No,
He's not someone who resonates with me. But I can't deny that he does have that effect on people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is why, I used to say I would book him if I had a promotion. But now I wouldn't.
No. Do you want to hazard a guess at what the number one film at the box office is? And this is going to be a fun one because we're so close to the last show. It's the same movie as the last episode we did. So can you remember what the number one movie at the box office was on the Patreon episode we did for Night of Champions?
So it's the same film as... we recorded that, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, and this is at the tail end of its third week at the top of the box office.
Oh man, I've got no idea. I remember it. I feel like this season we've had a James Bond movie.
No, we haven't.
Was that last season? Have we had Dark Knight? No. We've had a kids film. Oh, is it a horror movie?
No.
Is it a comedy?
Yes.
this is going to be infuriating for people who are listening to this in sequence. You know, they've just finished the Night of Champions review,
coming into this
going
episode.
right into Hell in a Cell. This is like when you did the Christmas quiz and it was all the same questions as the previous year. I tell you that my mum got my dad the same card for Christmas for 5 years in a row.
No.
And then she revealed it and we all found it the funniest thing. And he continues to get that card every year. It's a wonderful card. And it started off as just a nice thing. Like, oh, it was so nice. I just thought I'd give it to you again. But you didn't remember that I got it. Can it give me a little clue? I'm
going to give you the same clue I gave you last time. It's got a wrestler in it. That's the face you pulled last time. I told you that clue as well. A big wrestler as well. Big wrestling name.
The Rock?
Yes.
It's too late for Fast and Furious. Is it Fast and Furious?
No, it's not Fast and Furious.
We went through a bunch of... Because we start our Rock Cena series like format G.I. Joe Retaliation.
No. That comes in the last season we did. That's true.
But I can't remember all of them. I think he's got Gridlock Gang, Gridiron Gang. Gridlock Gang, that's the sequel. Everyone's stuck in traffic.
Oh, God, it sucks being here. But at least we're all together.
But there's a murder at the front with some armed gang.
That's great.
And The Rock has to weave in and out of... this, it's the opposite. It's the anti-car chase movie because all the cars are stationary.
Yeah, imagine the Matrix, the second Matrix movie, the highway scene there, but everyone's parked.
Well, you joke, but what are some great traffic jam scenes in cinematic history? La La Land, opening dance sequence, fantastic. Or even better, the tensest scene ever shot, Sicario.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Speed. Which is when, the bus that could not slow down.
Man.
It's slowing down, and all of a sudden he's approaching. There's a traffic jam. What a film.
Speed was referenced in the Invisibles comic I was reading. I want to go and rewatch that.
It's so good. Yeah. It proper holds up as well. I'd argue that the third, once they get off the bus, it's less good. But man, all the stuff on the bus is so great.
Simple plot device. So effective.
Yeah.
This is a long bit of procrastination. Because I need another clue.
So I'll give you the other clue that I gave last time, which is
So it is The Rock.
It is The Rock. I think I told you then one other actor that was in it, and you got it.
Jungle Cruise.
So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to give you the name Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
Comedy film. Think of
it's Get Smart.
No, it's not.
It's too cool.
It's not.
Think of
who are big comedy actors.
It's Steve Carell as well. It's not that one.
No, it's not that one. Although I think you do talk about that film in the last episode.
This is mental deterioration in podcast form. Oh, the other guys.
It's the other guys.
Oh, that was like a sneeze. That felt really good when I got it.
Do you want to have a guess? I mean, this is your era of what the number one song at the UK charts is.
Yeah.
Previously, it was Alexandra Burke featuring Lazar Morgan, Start Without You. And now we have a new number one single at the UK Top of the Pops.
And it's October.
It is October.
So we're sort of past the dance summer tunes bit.
Yep.
Rihanna.
Nope.
Calvin Harris.
Nope.
Beyonce.
Nope.
Taylor Swift.
Nope.
Dizzy Rascal.
Nope.
Pop?
Yes. I'd say it's like a ballady pop song. Yeah. It's not like ballad. It's not like, Leona Lewis ballad.
Not Adele ballad.
No, it's not Adele ballad, but it's like a poppy. It's a nice love song.
Group?
No.
Solo?
Yes.
Woman?
No.
Man?
Yes.
Man solo. Man solo ballad.
Mm-hmm. Love song.
Bedingfield?
No.
Barry from EastEnders. Apparently very represented at Glastonbury, I'm told, in the form of flags.
Uh-huh.
And I was just singing Something Inside So Strong the other day, and one of the first verse lyrics is, The higher you build your barrier, away, 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 away. Barrier. Barry. Can't wait to see him again.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that more than my own wedding. More than All In. I am procrastinating again.
I can actually
Give
tell
me
you
another clue.
I can tell you it's so it's going to be number 1 on top of the pops for a week, and then it's going to be replaced by Tiny
Bruno Mars.
It is Bruno Mars, because then it is number 1 again later on in the month.
When I see your face, not a thing that I would... Because you're amazing just the way you are.
There it is. He got there, everyone.
Not for me, Bruno Mars, but I can't begrudge the guy's songwriting ability. I think he smashes out great pop ballads that aren't for me, but I respect the craftsmanship.
You're also fairly great at this bit. Do you want to have a guess of what the Observer thumbs up, thumbs down split was?
Well, it's so weird. They're so positive about stuff.
It's also impossible to predict. It is mad listening to it sometimes.
62% thumbs up because of the Cena losing.
It's 40% thumbs up, 39% thumbs down, and 19 in the middle.
Oh, wow. So actually a properly split show. You said 40% thumbs up.
40.5%. Thumbs down was 39.7.
That's Brexit right there. That's a razor edge vote out.
What do you think the best match went to?
What is the best match? Oh, probably the submission match, right?
Yes, it was. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz versus John Morrison. What did the worst match go to?
Probably the women's match.
Nope.
Undertaker Kane?
Correct. The WWE badly needed a shot in the arm, and perhaps more than that, with weak attendance following in the bad pattern of bad pay-per-view numbers and generally declining ratings. The first of what is likely to be many shots was John Cena being forced to join Nexus. The angle is actually similar to a planned angle that was dropped last year involving Randy Orton and Ted DiBiase at a time when the plan was for DiBiase instead of Orton to turn. The idea was that the leader would hold down the guy who wanted to fight back but for whatever reason couldn't, leading to the audience to badly want him to fight back. The angle was based on the actual early 1970s roller games angle that was done on many circuits with the idea of turning the top heel into the top babyface. And in true Dave fashion, he then talks about roller games for ages.
This is the roller derby. Yeah.
Offshoots of the angle were done in pro wrestling. I've had to skip over a lot of that stuff. But for some reason, never effectively. After Cena lost to Wade Barrett the next night on Raw, he was forced to join Nexus. It's not the exact angle, with the key that he wants to fight them, but will be fired if he does. There's already a marked increase in ratings from a 2.75 to a 3.35 for Raw.
Damn, that is a lot.
Cena,
that's definitely significant.
As a significant jump. Cena was also, as part of Nexus, cheered significantly more in Wichita than in that role than he's been on television in almost every market over the last several months. The long-term plan for the angle is already written as far as where it will end up. As far as how they get there, that isn't as well formulated, nor how long it takes. Although apparently, January is a target date for whenever it's supposed to go, then leading into WrestleMania. Cena could turn at the end, although that would be the opposite of the successful version of the angle. Barrett beat Cena due to outside help from Michael McGillicuddy and Husky Harris, who appeared to at least be Nexus affiliated, was the most substantial thing on the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, even though it was not in the cell. This leads into...
Oh, that's who they were.
That's the fans. This leads to bragging rights, which probably isn't going to do very well. The show has a 3-week build, and after 1 week, the only thing known is Team Raw versus Team SmackDown match, which might be a 3-way with the Nexus led by John Cena and Wade Barrett versus Randy Orton for the WWE title.
But they've got the little Nexus N on the bragging rights poster.
Well, that's why they thought it might be like a 3-way multi-man match. So it's Team Raw versus Team SmackDown versus the Nexus.
Which would make sense.
It'd be cool, right?
Captained by John Cena.
Yeah.
He's got to beat Raw and SmackDown or he loses his job.
Yep. Hell in a Cell ended up being a mixed bag. It started out with great matches, but the heat was hit and miss. Really, Cena vs. Barrett was the only match with good heat. Undertaker vs. Kane was one of the worst WWE pay-per-view main events in years. It was really sad watching how limited Undertaker was, as age really caught up with him after his last absence, but it was made worse on the decision to have them go more than 20 minutes. The first match wasn't good because they were out there for too long, and this was even worse.
I liked
the Night of
Champions match. And the SummerSlam angle when Taker sits up out the casket is a really great spot.
Yeah. The finish saw Kane win again with Paul Bearer turning on The Undertaker. The show would have been a lot better had Undertaker and Kane been put on second and then ending with Cena versus Barrett or even Orton versus Sheamus. At least Orton versus Sheamus would give the happy ending, but Cena versus Barrett was the match with the most heat and interest, and ending with ending was a key point on the show. A lot of people left the arena after the Cena match, not even staying to see Kane versus Undertaker. The mystery of the declining buy rates has been something the WWE has been struggling with for years now, but in particular the last two. The experiment last year was to do themed shows hasn't worked. The numbers have only declined. Our response level to Hell in a Cell was down from last year, but even with the 2-week build, it was better than most recent B shows. It drew 7,500 paid, a terrible figure for a pay-per-view show in that market. It was in Dallas. No announcement has been made publicly with an attendance, even an exaggerated kind. Competing with the Texas State Fair and being a weekend of a Texas versus Oklahoma game in the same city meant local interest would be down. WWE for years had the mentality that it doesn't matter what is going on in the city because they have an audience and their audience will come. In fact, in the live events department, the cries about competing sports events in town will be taken as comedy and an excuse because nothing short of the Super Bowl, which they wouldn't dare compete with, would significantly hurt them. Now things are different. Their core audience is smaller, and their audience that would attend a show like the Softer and pro wrestling is not their
The Softer?
Well, he's written here, the core audience is smaller, and their audience that would attend a show like this Softer.
Softer? Is it an acronym?
No, it's just Softer. It's in all lowercase. And pro wrestling is not their passion, just a piece of their entertainment puzzle. Bigger events from sports that are more important take priority. The old WWF couldn't be touched by anything short of a natural disaster. Today's version gets hurt if there's any kind of major event in the market.
Earthquake and typhoon. I assume he's referencing there.
Can I tell you, as we lead into this, a story I heard recently about someone's thoughts on the Nexus?
Yeah.
So I was speaking with someone recently who said they were in a bar with Kevin Nash and WWE was on the screens.
At the time?
At the time. They were in a bar.
2010.
In 2010. They were in a bar with Kevin Nash and they were drinking and they looked up at the wrestling screens and Nexus made their entrance.
As in the angle, the debut angle? Or
no, just 7 guys walking out wearing the Nexus t-shirts.
There are a few things in life that I want more than anything. And now I can add, sitting in a bar with Kevin Nash, just chatting, having a nice drink, and then some wrestling comes on. Oh, and he would shoot all over it. Well, please tell me he shot all over it.
Here is what he said. If someone came into my house and told me to name one of those guys or they will shoot my wife and child, guess what? My family is dead.
They're dead.
And he was just like, guess what? They're fucking dead.
They're dead, man. Because I don't know Heath Tarver's name.
I don't know any of these guys. They're dead.
And that's my family's fault. That is a beautiful way to describe how checked out Kevin Nash is of multi-man factions.
Absolutely, yeah. So should we get into the show itself?
Yes.
We've kind of already talked about the opening video package, but I was confused. I thought it was from the Cell's perspective, then it was from the Devil's perspective, because he says, my 2 favorite sons will fight in this playground.
Well, I've written it out. Not all of it, because then halfway through it goes into Warrior, Viper, blah, blah, blah. So this is the first paragraph. I have waited for this night for a very long time. My 2 favorite sons, the Dead Man, the Monster, reunited inside my most fetid jaws.
So, you can't, if you're the Cell, you can't say my most favorite fetid jaws because they're just your jaws.
Well, so I think you could say, look, the Devil interpretation, my 2 favorite sons of The Undertaker and Kane, because he is the Devil. Or is it Paul Bearer? Is Paul Bearer the Cell we've been trapped in? Well, no, because
Undertaker's not his son.
But at the end, they're like, isn't it implied that he is, though?
No, Paul Bearer is Kane's father, and Paul Bearer worked at the mortuary, or the mortuary, whatever you want to call it, where the Undertaker worked. Paul Bearer was just a Paul Bearer that worked there, and he then slept with the Undertaker's mother, And that's where Kane comes from. That's why Kane is his half-brother. And then Kane burnt down the funeral home.
I see. But still, my two favourite sons. So that is... Let's just say that's the devil then.
Yeah, because Kane's gimmick is he's the devil's favourite demon.
But then reunited inside my most fetid jaws, that could just be like, my cage. Not from the cage's perspective.
That's right. That's what when I was like, right, it's the devil that's saying this.
They call me the devil's playground. And that was a bit more confusing.
Now it's the cell.
The gate to the underworld. Okay, I mean, are we back to the devil? Designed to unleash the demons in any man, dead man, monster. This is so Vince.
It's so Vince.
You would never get any of this on a Paul Levesque WWE video package.
Oh, absolutely not.
In its place, you get people arriving.
Well, you get,
which, you know, I would say is too much the other way. I'm quite over people arriving with their luggage to get me excited for a show.
Or it will be a celebrity that will be like, this is an important show. Welcome to SummerSlam.
My name is Dana White, and I'm reading, like a cameo sent into me, a script. But then the video package goes into like the Sheamus, Randy Orton stuff. And they just find, they say warrior so many times for Sheamus. Warrior, Viper, Hell in a Cell. I will bring out the worst in the Serpent and the Warrior. And then we go
Ultimate or otherwise.
I will watch gleefully as my two favourite sons are destroyed. You've already said favourite sons. All inside my most diabolical of confines. I am Hell in a Cell.
So you can't have your favourite confines and be the favourite confines?
Maybe it's an egotistical Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
I am my most favourite design. I just wished it then cut back to Stephanie, who would then say, and you're both going to hell. And the Hell in a Cells, they're like, what? I've just finished the promo.
I just said that.
Yeah. So there is no focus on the Nexus and arguably the actual biggest story, which is will Cena have to join them in this opening video package?
Well, it is the Hell in a Cell show. Like, that should be the... that's your selling point. The reason why you're doing themed Hell in a Cell shows is because I love their Hell in a Cell stipulation so much, and it means so much to me. I've got to buy a pay-per-view that's going to have not one, not three, but two of them on it.
Well, there was that one year with three.
There was, yeah.
But what is the Hell in a Cell's thoughts on John Cena joining the Nexus? And I will be eagerly watching from above as the Nexus, the harbingers of diabolical doom and destruction, bring the uncorruptible until now hero.
A hero to so many.
To the dark side of the deepest depths of the pervert of my perverted loins.
Yeah.
I am Vince Hell in a Cell in hell.
That'll be fun, actually, because we've now got a bit of a gimmick on this channel where after a video has gone up, and I think it's like 24 hours later, you can change the language. And it's basically just like, we just get dubbed with voices. Certainly, I've not actually looked at what it's like on a podcast yet. But what's it going to be like when you stumble over a word and you accidentally make up new words? Like you just did there when you were trying to say diabolical.
Je ne sais pas.
Our opening contest is for the United States Championship, and it is a submissions count anywhere match as new champion Daniel Bryan, who won it at Night of Champions, defends against the former champion The Miz and The Miz's former friend John Morrison.
Yeah, just because I want to get over all the times people describe Hell in a Cell. In the opening bit, you know, Michael Cole's going 4 titles defended, 2 Hell in a Cell matches. It's the Devil's Playground. It's been redesigned apparently. What's been changed about it?
Oh, they said that they made it harder to get out.
Which probably sets up the finish.
Well, it's. I think it's less that, but also it really. What do people like about Hell in a Cell matches? It's usually when people get out and climb up top. So we've taken away the top. We've taken the fun bit away from Hell in a Cell. Now everyone stays inside.
20 feet high, 5 tons of hell. Honestly, like we write a lot of scripts. It is bad to use the same word over and over again. If I'm talking about Hell in a Cell, I wouldn't say hell in the next sentence.
Yeah.
They say it 3 sentences in a row.
Also on this, King hopes that Daniel Bryan is going to tap out The Miz again, and this time in front of Michael Cole. I just want everyone to remember that was the finish of Night of Champions, was that Daniel Bryan tapped out The Miz. Just so we all remember what that finish was. So when we come to the finish of this match, we can be really surprised at how surprised Michael Cole is.
So Cole's defense at Night of Champions was that The Miz slipped.
Yeah.
And Daniel Bryan is a bad wrestler who took advantage of a mistake.
Not a bad wrestler, boring wrestler.
A boring
His
wrestler.
whole thing is he's boring, he's bland, he's not a star, he's not like The Miz, he's a vegan.
So we had, that was 2 weeks ago. Bryan, it's kind of fun doing shows so close to each other.
Yeah.
Because I know exactly what's happened in all the TV.
Yeah.
This was made by the Raw general manager. So essentially, it'll be a rematch of Bryan versus Miz, but we have done that. So it'll be a submission match. Also, John Morrison's there for the United States title. And when they recapped that, I was like, oh, who is the Raw general manager at this point? Because we've had Bret Hart. I think we had someone else before.
Oh, did we have Bret Hart?
Oh, we did. Bret Hart didn't have the general manager role, but we had Bret Hart having the general manager role. It's the anonymous Raw general manager.
Sure is. It's laptop here at WWE right now. We're going to hear that laptop going off.
So when you've got, and I remember this back when I was a teenager in the Attitude Era, I was like, well, who's going to win this submission match? Is it going to be, who's someone without a submission?
Austin.
Yeah, is it going to be Steve Austin or is it going to be Chris Benoit?
And Austin's actually a bad, because he at least had the $1 million dream.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
So here you've got Daniel Bryan,
Submission expert Daniel Bryan.
finisher LaBelle Lock Daniel Bryan,
Yeah.
versus The Miz, pre-figure 4 Ric Flair babyface turn The Miz.
Uh-huh.
There is no submission game there.
No, it's just the Scroll Crusher finale.
And John Morrison.
High-flying John Morrison.
Huh.
Who might win this one?
So I guess the Raw general manager is a babyface because he's favoring the champion face submission expert? Nope. It is whatever the Raw general manager needs to be in that moment.
Yeah. I'm going to have a bit of a pop at Stryker a lot in this episode, so I apologize if anyone's a big fan of Matt Stryker or Matt Stryker himself is watching this, but he's got a bad night, and he's all over the show in terms of whether he is a heel or a face. In this match, he has taken the babyface role of not liking The Miz. And actually, you know what? I can give you my conclusion now, but a lot of my evidence will point towards this much later on. But I'll give you my conclusion now. He is just doing what Twitter will like.
Huh. Can I be a Stryker defender?
Please do.
I think he's just, because the dynamics are so off. Lawler's meant to be the babyface commentator. Cole's meant to be the play-by-play guy. And Stryker's meant to be the sort of heelish IWC know-it-all. Mm-hmm. Lawler doesn't care, so he's not filling his end of the bargain. The play-by-play guy is acting more heelish. By the end of the night, he's like, oh yeah, I love Lay Cool. So Stryker, to maybe defend his position, is going, well, the dynamics for any of this to work, I have to be both play-by-play guy and face guy, depending on what Michael Cole chooses to cheer and boo.
I mean, and that could be very well the case. My read on it is, watching this show, is that he is just saying the things that Twitter are saying as a way to get Twitter to like him.
That as well, I bet.
Because he loves Daniel Bryan. He hates The Miz, because that is the Twitter discourse at this period of time. Miz is rubbish. We should be pushing Daniel Bryan instead. He is always sort of he loves the Nexus. And he hates John Cena. And it's this weird shift we get to later on that clearly I don't think he'd prepped ahead of time, because Cole and King do not know how to react to it at all.
Yeah, because they're like, dude, they attacked you.
Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, but I like their gumption.
But the balls, the cojones.
Because he says here, talking about The Miz, he's like, sign of the time, everyone. He said, I think The Miz has got the soundtrack to Glee on his iPod.
One of the problems about this era of WWE is that there's so much to talk about with the commentary because it's bad, but also because they don't talk about the match.
Mm-hmm.
So we could just talk about the match and go like, oh, this is what the commentators said about the match. But it's like you're watching the match, but then the commentators have a totally separate conversation.
Yeah. And
like baseball commentators.
Yeah. And you can attune your ears to tune out 2010's commentary, which I did through some of this. But every now and again, there are just some lines that just sort of like really permeate through and be like, oh, I now got to pause the video so I can write down the inane thing that was said.
Well, the story of the match is like Miz comes out, he cuts a promo on both Morrison and Bryan. So the champion Bryan doesn't come out last, by the way.
Yeah, it comes out second.
And also the whole psychology of entrances is meant to be you have the heel enter not last, so he can cut the promo, right? And then Bryan comes out, crowd react. Yay, there's a guy to beat up this cocky prick. So then they come out, and Morrison and Bryan team up against the Miz, and they do a nice little wrestle between them, Bryan and Morrison. Morrison gets Miz in a tarantula, which is cool because it's submission, and then Bryan gets in the cattle mutilation on the Miz.
Stryker was so excited.
For 3 seconds. And yeah, Stryker's like, oh my God, the cattle mutilation. And then it just becomes about Michael Cole saying, what? That's a stupid name.
That's cool. It's called what? And then
I thought he was a vegan.
Yeah, and then King says, Stryker, your commentary is cattle mutilation.
Yeah. And like, no, the cattle mutilation is an objectively cool thing to call anything. It's like Napalm Death. Zack Sabre Jr.'s finisher name.
Yeah.
Cheeky Nando's. That's a stupid name.
I talked to Dave Bradshaw about this, that he had a go at Zach once. Not had a go at him, but he went up to him because he was commenting on one of his matches, being like, I've got a list of 30 names here. I just want to make sure, are these the same 30 names for moves that you do? Because he changed them all the time. Did you see the bit when he won the IWGP Championship last weekend, at the time of this recording? New Japan, because it was on a show that wasn't broadcast internationally, New Japan's website had a write-up of it, and it's written in that very serious New Japan way. And it was talking about, the warrior spirit standing. Like Goto tries to stand up, but unfortunately, like the left side of him just wasn't giving out his hook. But in all of this, they have to name that one of Zack Sabre Jr.'s moves is called "You've Been Tangoed Edition."
Excellent.
It's just within this very serious text. It's awesome. But yeah, so we get the cattle mutilation. We get a heel hook by Bryan and Miz and Morrison. Heel hooks by Bryan and the Miz, kind of like at the same time playing it, and then Morrison breaks that up with a slingshot Starship Pain to break it up.
Yeah, it's good stuff, the submission part of the match, but then they kind of, I guess, like the agents must have figured, we can't really do much of a submission match with the Miz. So they brawl into the crowd, and then it's like, I was like, oh, so is a submission match, submissions count anywhere? Because the referees started getting involved in the submission attempts on the ground.
Yeah.
Is that a normal thing with submission matches?
That
its submissions count anywhere.
Well, but that's just the stipulation of this match. This match is...
it was a submissions count anywhere.
Yeah, submissions count anywhere.
I missed
match.
that.
Yeah. I've got our first clip of the night because...
There's Bryan on a production crate.
I'm Daniel Bryan. Welcome to Jackass.
Not a sort of must kill. Is it Mo?
Mo, yeah. Whee!
I did a Simpsons reference.
You did. Well done. It's a good one as well.
We were in a meeting yesterday, and didn't Dave Bradshaw say, we don't want to Poochie yet?
Yeah.
And then Dave had to explain the Poochie reference.
What Poochie, man?
I thought everyone knew Poochie.
Yeah.
That's part of... Once broke up with a girl because she didn't know what kryptonite was.
Mm-hmm.
That's the... I think that Poochie and kryptonite... If someone doesn't know what Poochie is, you're like... I mean, really, I don't know if we can be in a relationship because I think we're too different.
Yeah.
If we don't have that shared cultural touch point.
Yeah. I just don't know what it is. I would say I mean, I can't take that position too much because I would imagine my wife doesn't know what Poochie is.
Really?
She doesn't like The Simpsons. Like, she's never liked The Simpsons. She also wanted to watch Andor with me as well, which is making it really hard for me to watch Andor because it's taking me ages. Instead of quite late the other night, I watched like 3.5 episodes back to back.
Apparently Andor's quite good. I watched the first 2 episodes. I really liked it. I just didn't continue.
It gets really, really good. Like I'm currently in sort of like 3 episode stretch that is like, it's one In any other show, this would have, like, back in the day, this would have just been a one episode. They spread it across 3. And it's great.
Red Letter Media have this thing where before they start a Star Wars series, they're like, has it got lightsabers in? I'm like, yes, it's going to be crap. And they say Andor's good because it doesn't have lightsabers in.
Yeah, it's the most interesting thing about Star Wars because it's not about the Jedis.
Yeah, because it's just, here's this cool sci-fi world with loads of lore, and we just get to focus on good characters outside of all the other nonsense.
Do you know why it's also great? It's set within the good period of Star Wars. It's set within
8 and 9.
Really brave of them to like
really want that casino.
Let's go back there.
This big 20 episode series arc on the casino.
No, it's set
from Last Jedi.
Just it's pre New Hope, but it is only just pre New Hope because obviously it's going to lead into Rogue One. Anyway, Morrison jumps off the crate and Stryker says this is just like the X Games.
Oh yeah, I wrote that down. That was really cringy.
That's what I thought as well when he jumped off that crate. Gosh, it's just like watching the X Games, isn't it?
Yeah,
skateboards and that.
I did the X Games, didn't compete obviously, but I broadcast the UK live transmission of it from ESPN in the States, and I think I've told this before. This was during a time when the R word. So the R word has not been cool in the UK for a long time.
No.
But in the States, you could say it until the last couple of years, I'd say. I think it was more of an accepted word.
Yeah.
And they said it. I was like, I have to put up a warning, or not a warning, but a disclaimer, apology if any bad language or culturally insensitive things were done.
You're like Jim Ross. Apologise for the foul language.
Yeah, which was, by the way, all the time on Aussie Rules. Aussie Rules football, openly racist back then. But they said that move was R-worded. Yeah. I was like, is that slang? Or are they saying, because the retardation of speed is a physics term.
Yeah.
That something is slowing down. I was like, but they're sports analysts, but they said bro at the end.
And it is America. Where Kane was called that for years.
Yeah. I was like, put it up. I'll just apologize anyway.
Yeah, just in case. Let's play this safe.
X Games.
Skull-crushing finale to Morrison on the floor, and then Miz and Bryan also go to the floor as well. And
I thought that skull-crushing finale on the floor it sounded sick.
Yeah. And then Morrison climbs. They've got this actually, I'll just put the laptop up because you can kind of see it at the side here. They've got a Hell in a Cell wall.
Yeah, on either side of the stage.
It's back when they tried on stages.
I liked it, and because it doesn't just look different. Every time for these big matches, it gives the wrestlers, they can just walk out and go, okay, I'm jumping off that. I'm jumping off that. I'm using that in my match.
And that's what
it
Morrison
makes them
does
feel
here.
more special.
Yeah, Morrison here, he climbs up the lighting rig and then he scales that Hell in a Cell and he jumps down onto them. I say he jumps, it's falling with style. But it's still really, really cool. Cloverleaf by John Morrison, but Alex Riley runs out and makes the save.
Rage!
And then Bryan pushes Riley into a cameraman. Bad night for cameramen as well.
I like that. That was because the camera then fell backwards. You got the POV of the camera. It was nice chaos. It did make this match, the brawl through the crowd, the jumping off the camera spot. It felt a bit Attitude Era.
Yeah. And then we get the label lock to The Miz, and The Miz taps out, to which Michael Cole says, never did I think I'd see the Miz tap out to Daniel Bryan.
Without slipping first.
It was 2 weeks ago that The Miz tapped out to Daniel Bryan. 2 weeks ago. I never thought I'd see it.
Yeah. You always say, but every episode is someone's first episode. Yeah. I think WWE take the wrong lesson from that, where, we can make up what happened up until this point.
I've never seen a move like that before. It just happened. But I thought that was a very, very good match.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I really enjoyed it.
Definitely agree with the Observer readers for once. By far the best match on the show.
Yeah.
And a good match that pretty much holds up now, I'd say.
Dave Meltzer would say, even though the TV didn't help matters, since neither Miz nor Morrison got over a submission hold in their repertoire, they opened the show strong. Matt Striker, who had quite the night, claimed Morrison was a joint manipulation master. I presume he was talking about submissions and not rolling a joint. That was a good one, since Morrison hasn't used a submission finish in forever. He did get a good one in saying Miz's best submission move was his voice, because people hear it and just want to tap out. Then he started talking about how this past week Miz was using social networking sites to study submissions. He also said he went to the dojos in Los Angeles. Lawler got over him by saying that you can click on the internet and learn how to apply submissions. 3.5 stars.
Again, Striker's trying. Unfortunately, all the defense of Striker falls apart because when he isn't within the WWE system, it's not like he's revealed himself to be a great commentator, which is why I think we all believed, oh, well, if he wasn't in the WWE machine or he had better partners on commentary, he could be great.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case.
And Alvarez would say, Cole said in a million years he'd never thought he'd see Miz tap for Bryan. Good thing it didn't happen 2 weeks ago. 3.25 stars. Legendary is now out on DVD, Ollie.
Oh, I watched the Netflix cut of this.
Did you now?
Yeah.
Is that cut out?
I didn't see the Legendary advert.
But the Make-A-Wish thing's still in there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Linda still needs... Linda's still she's gonna be president one day.
Coming up next for the WWE Championship inside Hell in a Cell, it's Sheamus versus new champion Randy Orton.
Yeah, 2 weeks fresh, this championship. There's a sign behind the commentators that reads, Sheamus is the lamest. And I remember around this time, it was funny to just go lame or stupid.
I still do.
Things like that. And maybe that's what they were going for with the Edge promo later, which does not work comedically.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, just before we get into this is a Hell in a Cell match. So Lawler describes the demonic structure.
Mm-hmm.
He describes it a bit, but this time it's a demonic structure. Yes.
Yeah, it's they actually have to say this all started 2 weeks ago at Night of Champions when Randy Orton won the belt.
Well, it's been going since SummerSlam.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%. It's just like they because he won the title 2 weeks ago, they was like, this all started 2 weeks ago. And then Orton calls Sheamus pathetic, and Sheamus, you can't beat me because this company will never let you actually get a win over a top guy.
What a story.
And
Sheamus can't beat Orton.
Well, Sheamus has always got, and I think this is WWE sort of mentality is, well, you don't have to beat people because you took out the game. You took out Triple H. So any time a babyface says to you, you can't do this, you can just reply, I took out the game.
Yeah, which is fine for Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Because he took out The Undertaker and then he beat everyone else.
Yeah. It's also a more impressive accolade than winning the WWE Championship.
Yes.
You know, I took out Triple H.
Triple H, they're like, well, I don't see what's wrong with this book. It gets Triple H over. We get Michael Cole going on to describe this Hell in a Cell match because it is the improved structure, which is perverted, repulsive, and career-threatening.
Rita Repulsive.
So many descriptions of the stipulation, yet it has nowhere near the power that it does today. You can say all you want. You can bust out the thesaurus and give me every word to describe bad. But it means more when Punk and Drew McIntyre do it because there's only one.
There's only one of them, and you don't do it every single year on a themed pay-per-view named around it.
Yeah.
And like I did laugh when Michael Cole was talking about how this is a redesigned cell, and we talked about this earlier, and he was like, it's redesigned to stop people getting out of it. Boo! It's taking away the fun bit of Hell in a Cell.
And surely when they say that, we should both be like, well, someone's getting out of it then.
But also, like, why don't you do that for cage matches then? Because the whole point of cage matches is to stop people getting in, and really should be preventing people from getting out as well. It's not with WWE, I guess, because they invented the escape the cage rule. But it is like, you can't do this thing and be like, now people are trapped in here. But we've also got this other stipulation where the idea is you've got to try and get out. Like it's the other thing that made me laugh is when they keep talking about how the Hell in a Cell shortens careers. Like the main event of the show is Kane and the Undertaker.
Who have been feuding since the first Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, since 1997.
Also, like we said, it's only 2 weeks. Well, in that time, we've said we've already had the SmackDown debut on Sci-Fi. Big move there for broadcast. But also, Jericho just got written off TV for a couple of years.
Jericho's gone. Jericho's gone for a while.
And we spoke about this because he featured in the Night of Champions match. He gets eliminated first, and everyone's like, oh my God, does that mean he's retiring or leaving WWE? Because that is what they told us. They play that down. And then we were, I think I said, no, he leaves on via Randy match or something. And you were like, no, I think he
goes the night after.
It's the night after on Raw.
But I think you're right.
I think we're both wrong. I think it's the go home episode.
Yeah, it is. So but there's only 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is why you are right. So it's not the night after Raw. It was the week after the night after Raw, which is also the go home show for Hell in a Cell, which is when he gets taken out by Randy Orton. He gets punted.
He gets punted, yeah, which is rare. It's getting rarer at this time.
And he comes back 2012 while Punk is champion?
Yeah, teases at the tail end of 2011, but January 2012 in the Rumble is when he comes back.
I'd also going to go to the screen here as we get to 37 minutes and 16 seconds. I've gone way too far in there. Where it's sort of just, it's one of those things of like, maybe this cell is a little bit too small.
Scroll, 37. Where am I? Time if you fancy.
Well, this is if you scroll a little bit further, just so I can see both guys next to each other. They're different ethnicities. Sheamus is the whitest white, but Randy's tan is a burnt orange here.
Yeah, but Sheamus has got a really good plan here because he's going to pick up these steps and he's going to throw them at Randy Orton. And I'm sure the thinness between the cell and the ring is not going to come a cropper for him.
So Sheamus is picking up. He's walking along gingerly. Oh no, but the cameraman's in the way.
Nope. Yeah. Just hit the ring post. And then Michael Cole's like, Randy Orton ducking out of the way there.
He didn't get all of it. Stryker says on commentary that the WWE title has only changed hands once in a Hell in a Cell. And it was for Orton at last year's Hell in a Cell.
Is that so?
Beat John Cena. But yeah, they're telling the story here that at least early on, before they go outside, is that Sheamus wants to keep this in the ring.
Mm.
He doesn't want to get into the floor is lava area on the outside where he's nearer the cage walls. So the Hell in a Cell part of the Hell in a Cell match. Because I guess deep down in 2010, Sheamus' character, he's a coward.
Yeah, I think so. I guess that's probably right.
Yeah, because he does do he tries to duck out of things.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do the tough fights. You're like, well, compare that to the Sheamus of now, who's really over, puts on great matches all the time because he is a brawler.
Yeah. But because he's older now as well, it's 15 years since this pay-per-view we're watching here. I always think this whenever I see Sheamus on TV, he looks like this old man Sheamus. I know he's not grey and everything, but obviously he is 15 years older, so he's just got this more like haggard look about him, this old man in a pub who just wants to fight.
But at the same time, he doesn't look dissimilar to how he looks here.
No.
He's not really aged in his face or anything.
I just feel like his hair's lighter.
Yeah.
I think it's part of it. He kind of gets on top because he bumps Orton into the cell. That gets him in the heat. Does a front suplex onto some upturned steps. At one point, Matt Stryker really trying to put over what this means, because these are two people who are so intense and this is an intense rivalry, and now it's inside Hell in a Cell. And he says, imagine what it's like facing your fiercest rival in this structure. And King replies, that is what we're watching. He is so done with
Lawler's
Stryker.
annoyed.
He's so done with Stryker. It's like, dummy, that is what we're watching.
Matt Stryker, can you stop trying?
But Matt, I see credit to Matt there. He is trying to say, can you imagine being in their shoes and facing your fiercest rivals? Whereas King took it to be like, could you imagine what it would be like to see that?
Yeah.
And he's like, you dummy, that is what we're watching.
Yeah, Lawler is, if they were wrestling a match, Lawler would be sandbagging Matt Stryker on commentary.
It's Evil Ease versus Thunder Rosa at the moment. Sheamus goes into an exposed turnbuckle. Orton starts his comeback, and Stryker, the little IWC nerd, refers to him as Randall. RKO blocked and Sheamus goes right back to the ribs. Sheamus brings the step in and power slam by Randy into those. And it's just the draping DDT to the floor. But Sheamus blocks the RKO again and pushes him into the post. The idea being Randy keeps going for it, but Sheamus seemingly has always got an answer to get away from that move being hit. Because if he gets hit by that, it's going to be over.
I will say, from the moment that Randy starts to make his comeback, it gets a lot better because it is quite plodding before then.
Yeah, it's not as good as the Night of Champions. Not the Night of Champions match, the SummerSlam match, yeah.
Which had a terrible finish.
Sure did. We then get one of the weirdest spots of this match, which is when Sheamus does his Irish Curse backbreaker while he is standing on the steps.
There's no give.
That's what they justify it as. Well, you see, if you were to do it on the mat, there's a bit of bounce to it. But on the steel steps, there's no give.
Yeah, the problem there, if you can picture this, if you can imagine this, as Stryker would say, none of Randy's body touches the steel steps.
It's the most Randy Orton bum possible, really.
It's Sheamus's leg and foot in particular. But I guess, it does look silly.
It looks silly, but also, if it's got no give, then it's going to hurt Sheamus more than it is Randy.
It's going to jam his shin.
It's going to really hurt his leg.
Shin splints.
Stryker says that the steel puts him right into Sheamus's knee. Yeah. Remember when Paige did her submission on the top of the announcer's table? It's like, whoa, she's not even touching the table.
It must hurt more.
It's gravity. Bro kick, Randy kicks out of that. Sheamus then...
Which is rare.
Sheamus uses a chair, but Randy kicks out of that. He can't put this guy away. Randy then ducks a chair shot, hits the RKO, finally, but Sheamus rolls out of the ring.
Good bit of drama there.
Yeah. He manages to avoid the punt, and he hits a bro kick. Randy kicks out again. Sheamus tries for the high cross onto the steel steps, but Randy isn't taking that bump, and he trips him. RKO on the steps. Orton wins. Really good. I enjoyed that.
A high cross off the steel steps, otherwise known as the higher cross. This is... I enjoyed this match as well. And you did have the steel steps, you had a steel chair at one point. People occasionally bump into the cage walls. It just doesn't feel violent enough.
It's not, is it, man? It's PG Hell in a Cell.
And that is exemplified for me. Where have I got to get to? 57:40.
Bear in mind, you're on Netflix times.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, there's a lot more. So I just need to get to the bit after...
So
there we go. We're getting there. So this is Orton. He's just won the match, and he's walking out. This is a Hell in a Cell match. It went 20 minutes. Yeah, right then. He looks around.
Yeah.
And goes, "Yeah, right then."
That was pretty good, actually.
And that is the like him going, I'm actually going to climb to the top of the cage and celebrate on top of the cage.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, can't both of you just be laying down for a minute and then one of you stumbles up and is helped to the back?
Yeah.
It really seems like this is just any other match.
It is any old match, but the Hell in a Cell for years will feel like that. It's just any other match. Like, it is, talk about a stipulation that used to matter and they drove into the ground. And I give Triple H and the new creative team definitely a lot of credit for this. They have made, I think the next time a Hell in a Cell match gets announced, it is going to feel like such a big deal.
They play replays from the match twice.
Yeah.
And both times they come back, Randy Orton is just like, yeah. And then he's on top of the cage. It's like, imagine if you come back from the replays and both guys are still down in the middle of the ring.
Yeah. Getting over, actually. It is the devil's playground. Dave Meltzer said, long match that dragged in spots, but overall was good, but not what you'd expect from a title match in a cell. 3.25 stars.
Me and Dave.
And Brian Alvarez said, this was every Orton and Sheamus match you've ever seen in a cage. Turned into a very good match. Orton climbed on top of the cell to celebrate afterwards. 3.5 stars.
I definitely enjoy their matches more through the lens of 2025.
Yes, I agree. We get a promo as well for bragging rights, which you can.
Oh, I didn't see this.
Oh, have you not seen? Oh man, you're gonna love. You're gonna love this. So this is the show we are reviewing over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk right now. Check out this promo. All right, Randy.
Yeah.
Go on. All right, here we go.
I mean, at least it's moving match graphics.
SmackDown has the power, the finesse, the big red monster, and me, the largest athlete in the world. Raw has the style, the speed, the heart, the soul, and me, John Cena.
Look at those little zooms. What's that? Just a still image of the Nexus?
Hey, look, poor old Wade there.
That's. Do you remember the AJ Styles video package?
It is.
That looks so bad and hokey.
Yeah. So, okay, here's a few things. A.
I want to watch the Big Show's promo again.
What's my favorite
he does
bit?
so much talking.
And me, John Cena.
John Cena. Shelton Benjamin's old gimmick of the moving head. Please play me the Big Show bit. Right from the... SmackDown has the power.
And me, the largest athlete in the world.
Every time.
And me.
Can I play?
And me.
Can I go on YouTube to play something? So if you remove us from there, because you tell me off.
Well, yeah, it's only because you open up my emails.
What should I do? Firefox?
Yeah, do Firefox. It's not logged into anything.
Fill for time.
Okay, I will do. So yeah, bragging rights is. I don't know if I've ever seen a bragging rights show, but as best as I can tell, you win a trophy at the end of it, and that is to tell you who is the most dominant brand within WWE. But as Meltzer pointed out earlier, hugely undermined because a lot of the guys just shift around brands anyway.
Yeah, this is a Tim and Eric sketch. Tim and Eric, sort of. I'm actually going to see. Tim Heidecker live in a couple of weeks' time. I'm so excited. But their whole thing was making fun of teleshopping or just bad green screen editing.
This has been a lot of your basis of when we do things. So we're like, we're going to do this sort of advert. You're like, have you seen Tim and Eric?
Have you seen Tim and Eric?
Tim and Eric, I think, is what we should be aiming for.
Yeah. And just compare some of that editing with the Big Show and almost like the mumbled delivery.
Yeah. And me, the Big Show.
To this. Eventually.
Hi, me Tim Heidecker, and welcome to Discount Prices. I got $1.99. I got $7.99. I got $16.99. Cheap prices. $14, $11, $2.49. Some small prices. Prices.
Tim's discount prices shot out of the ground. Buy premium prices. Hi, I'm Eric, and welcome to Eric's Premium Prices. I've got all the premium prices. I've got $19.99 for sale for $20. You come to me when you want fine European prices. They're premium. Come on in, buy $35.50 for $40.
Oh, lay it egg. Tim's discount prices. Our $6.99s are down to $2.99.
Tim buys his prices from China. My American made.
Who wants to pay a premium for prices? Come on down to Tim's discount prices and pay small prices.
Look at this discount price. There's no meat on it. You throw it back. Stay in the water. To my family.
The man's a dirty fella. He's got a stink down here.
Discount prices for the birds. Tim got crab prices. Kick it.
Don't let him get near you. He'll wreck you.
Prices and sells them at a discount. That's bullshit.
Eric's a compulsive masturbator. He masturbates all over the store.
My competitor is a liar. Cut his hell.
Premium, I'd say creamy. My price is premium prices.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's that.
it's the same thing, I think.
the same
That was the same thing
Yeah.
as the bragging right. But just when he keeps on saying premium prices, they on purposely make whatever they're saying sound really bad and off. Yeah, because just hear Big Show talk off the back of that sketch.
So just before we actually, okay, well, I'll go to the Big Show bit first, so you can have.
And actually, the two graphics hitting each other.
All right, hold on.
Boo, boo.
Rivalry matters. WWE bragging rights. SmackDown has the power, the finesse,
It's
the
not
big
dissimilar.
and me, the largest athlete in the world. Raw has the size, the speed, the heart.
John Cena.
It's the little zoom in. And me, John Cena. The other thing I wanted to point out from this graphic, because I'm very excited to experience this with you first time. But if you're just listening to this on audio, the opening shot is Captain America Civil War, where all of them are looking at each other.
It's where they got the visual reference from, the Russo brothers, yeah.
Yeah, they were watching Hell in a Cell 2010 on a pre-network rip, and they were like, do you know what we need to do? This. But one of the key parts of if you're going to do that is that everyone's eye line is the same and they are looking at each other. Because look at the state of this.
Who's Cody looking
at? Who is Cody looking at compared to Truth right there? The Big Show and John Cena.
Oh.
Why on earth would you direct Big Show to be looking up? Your whole gimmick is you're tall.
Yeah, that's like it's like Tom Cruise being shot in particular ways to make him taller than he is.
Yeah.
That implies that John Cena and Big Show aren't that different in height.
Yeah, because they do it for Ray. Like, if you go back.
Oh yeah.
Ray's so much smaller compared to Cody and Dolph.
Yeah, but is Ray's head huge?
But with John, you can't make John look small. Got to make him look roughly the same size as the Big Show.
I've got to give credit though to 2010 render machines. That modem is going to be humming a storm.
It probably took them 2 days to render out on Premiere Pro. Maybe they did it on Avid.
Premiere Final Cut, mate. Back in those days when it was good.
Did you ever edit on Avid?
No, I didn't.
I did. That's why I learned to edit on at university, because I was told it's the industry standard. And
it
was at the time.
Yeah. So anyone learning to code, that's what happened to poor Luke.
Yeah.
And look at him now.
Look at me now.
He's down on his luck.
I'm here on YouTube, of all places. So anyway, Josh then interviews the NXT rookies from Season 3, which is the ladies' version of it. And Caitlin is about to do a promo, but then the Nexus walk in. There's only 5 of us now. But Slater then says, don't worry, there'll be 6 of us by the end of tonight. I've got an armband for him, and Wade says that Cena right now is against us, but tonight he'll be with us.
Oh, yeah. That really gets me going. When people just say how many people are in the faction. Can I just rewind a bit to the start of this segment? Because I didn't have the bragging rights bit, but the last thing we saw was Randy Orton winning. And Josh Matthews is backstage. Ladies and gentlemen, we're off to an amazing start. And speaking of amazing... My guest at this time is the NXT Season 3 Rookie Divas. Okay, first off, just such a low-effort segue. Yeah. They used to do this all the time.
Speaking of one of the words I just said.
I can't decide whether I love it or I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been my template for the WrestleTalk news. Whenever I'm going between, it's like, I'll just find whatever... I will fudge in a line beforehand just so I can use it as a segue into the next news item.
But also, he probably misspoke here, but maybe someone did script this. My guest at this time is the NXT Season 3 Rookie Divas.
Well, they're one entity.
They share one consciousness.
They're like Legion.
And it is Jamie.
Uh-oh. Can you get this?
I mean, I've written them down.
Okay, all right, here's a fun game then. Can you point to which one is which?
Oh, yeah, because I've written them down in order.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Jamie, whoever that is the blonde on the left. Obviously Naomi in the middle. And we've got Maxine, I can't remember, on the right.
Yeah, I mean, you've made a bit of an assumption that that's how they might have gone from right to left.
I think... how does Josh... I'm going the wrong way. Let's see how Josh... God, doesn't it just give you PTSD?
Just
bad TNA era.
I was going to say, just cut into a backstage interview and really close up being like, I'm speaking of it.
What it needs is then a slight zoom in when he says he's Josh Matthews.
Yeah.
I'm Josh Matthews.
Josh Matthews.
Randy Orton for retaining the WWE Championship here tonight at Hell in a Cell. Ladies and gentlemen, we're off to an amazing start. And, well, speaking of amazing, my guests at this time are the NXT Season 3 Rookie Divas. On my left, Jamie, Naomi, and Maxine.
There you go.
What? No, but they're standing on the left of him.
On my left, but I imagine he's going from left to right as any sane Western person would. And so, then on the other side is, you recognise at least 2 of those. It's AJ Lee, Oksana, and Caitlin.
Okay. Caitlin.
Caitlin.
Catelyn
Stark.
Catelyn Stark. That's what I was trying to think of what her name was.
Caitlin goes to talk because she's the only star here.
Well, she's the one who they want to win.
Yeah, well, she's
the
last
look of
pay-per-view, she was in a sort of romantic storyline with Dolph Ziggler.
That's right, she was.
Vicky Guerrero was jealous.
The only thing I really remember of us doing with Caitlin on this show is when they had her do that inset promo in the last series we did, but they left like a 2-second pause. So she just goes,
that's not her fault. That's the production's fault.
Oh, I
They
know.
were going to queue up the crash soon. I'm Caitlin.
and me, Caitlin.
Yeah, but no time for any of that, Gubbins. The Nexus are here, like he said.
Yeah. Out next is Alberto Del Rio to give him his pay-per-view debut, where he can cut a promo. Michael Cole, starting those heelish tendencies, loves Alberto Del Rio.
Yes.
Yeah,
'cause he's a rich
absolutely
guy.
loves him.
We got the first promo package for Del Rio at Night of Champions, and it's like just him hanging out at his house going, I've got money over here. I've even got money in the dining room.
Yeah.
And it cuts back to Michael Cole and he says, hey, I like the cut of this guy's jib.
Yeah.
But I know you've been talking about Jerry Lawler and this is actually going to be quite difficult. This is going to be too difficult for me to find, actually. So
I would just put up, look how rubbish Nexus just look at the moment.
You just need more of them.
I don't think you just need more. I think it's because Tava's still there. Honestly, before we started this series, if you'd have asked me what order did they leave, I'd have said, well, Tava's out first.
Yeah, Tava is...
Tava's well gone the first.
Yeah. I've been wearing my Nexus t-shirt throughout lunch, and editor Rich came over to me and went, that's a crap t-shirt. And I was like, well, he was joking.
Yeah.
I was like, but truth. Yeah. This is an iconic design.
Iconic.
He was like, it's just an N in a yellow box. I was like, yeah, but it works.
Yeah.
And you can replace the N in bragging rights. Well, what I was going to say is Del Rio comes out, Roberto Rodriguez is doing the great Mexican, Spanish rather, ring introduction. And Lawler goes, can I press 1 for English?
He totally does.
And Stryker says, that's actually funny, Jerry. So it's not all one-way traffic by match 3.
Del Rio gets wadded by this crowd, and he says he took out Rey Mysterio. So who is next for Alberto Del Rio?
Well, before you move on, should we talk about how he took out Rey Mysterio? This was on the SmackDown premiere. They show a clip of it. Him holding up a chihuahua and a Rey Mysterio mask.
Oh, he sure took him out. And Cole thinks it's hilarious.
This is the quality of the product right now.
Yeah.
On the premiere episode. Look, we didn't like Brock Lesnar beating Kofi Kingston on the Fox premiere of SmackDown.
To set up a Cain Velasquez match.
But at least it was a big thing.
Yeah.
A chihuahua dressed as Rey Mexico.
Rey Mexico?
Rey Mexico. When Jack America comes out.
Jack America. Because Edge Canada's in the ring.
Edge Canada in there. Adam Canada.
Canada land.
Will England.
Well, it's Wade England at the moment.
Okada Japan. Doesn't work with that. That just sounds like I'm saying that's where he's from.
Yeah. That one doesn't work. But anyway, Edge does come out, and Matt Stryker is trying to put over Edge's accomplishments. But I guess it was not his cue to speak, because Michael Cole just gets ordered to cut him off and talk over him so he can get over his storyline guff that he needs to do to explain why Edge is coming out here. Edge now is a babyface. Last time we saw him on this show, he was a heel. And he's now done a babyface, and he's going back to doing the reeking of awesomeness Edge stuff that he was doing in 2000 and 2001. Which
just doesn't work, does it, when you've not got Christian there as well? And it just seems a bit like a famous band living off their old hits.
I do have that concern when Edge and Christian do reunite in AEW. Do they just do the old routine again? But now they're in their 50s?
No, I don't think so. I think if they were in WWE, or Vince McMahon's WWE, they would make them do that. But now I think they're very smart. Like, look at all the innovations and character changes they've made in AEW.
Yeah.
I definitely think they're aware, and they won't just do that. They will reference it for sure.
They'll do a 5-second pose.
Yeah. But it will be a little bit as a nice Easter egg rather than our whole gimmick is just the same.
That we're reeking of awesomeness. Edge says that he is here because he's against stupidity. And he runs down all the things that he thinks are stupid about Alberto Del Rio, like his scarf. And he then calls him stupid in Spanish. And then
Muy estupido.
And then says Ricardo is also stupid.
And Alberto's wink is stupid.
It's funny, actually, Jericho will get this over in sort of, 6 years on after this.
Yeah. Well, because Jericho is good at milking things like that.
Yeah.
And also, you forget about the 100 things, other catchphrases he tried out that didn't stick.
That's fair.
Whereas Edge has been told, get stupid over.
Yeah.
And it's quite painful and cringy to watch him try.
This is your WrestleMania World Title match for next year's Mania.
Is it? What does Del Rio win it in 2011?
Yeah, Del Rio wins the 2011 Royal Rumble.
Oh my God! So Edge is gone in like 6 months' time.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
He's retired for 10 years.
Yeah. Swagger then comes out. He opened this show as the World Heavyweight Champion when we started this series, and look at him now.
I actually really got a kick out of him because what had happened on SmackDown is Swagger had a mascot like an eagle to sort of celebrate his Americanness in the ring.
He had that for a little while, the eagle mascot.
But Edge speared him. And Swagger says here, look, Edge, you speared my mascot. That wasn't a real eagle. That had a person inside who has very real medical bills.
Yeah.
Usually I think Swagger's quite tone deaf with comedy, unless he's got a hat on. He delivered it perfectly.
It's very good. Then the heels start attacking Edge, and the Raw general manager sends an email.
And Michael Cole walks over to the computer, and they talk about how it's an upgraded computer.
Yeah.
What is it? What?
Well, it's because I think Edge took out because, like he says, like you embarrassed the Raw GM, which is why the Raw GM demands that Edge has to apologize to the anonymous Raw general manager on Raw the next night.
The anonymous Raw general manager favors babyface Daniel Bryan, but does not like babyface Edge.
Yeah, he makes a match between Edge and Swagger. Good job that Edge came out in his gear, I guess, then.
Why not Del Rio? Why isn't this a three-way? And why doesn't Del Rio stay at ringside to cost someone something?
Thanos is away. It is Edge versus Jack Swagger here on pay-per-view, no less. And it's a really... All right. I know this is going to sound like I'm nitpicking to the nth degree here, but you just had a promo for a pay-per-view where you said it's the one night of the year that stars of Raw and SmackDown will compete against each other, and Edge and Swagger here in this match are on different brands. This is a Raw versus SmackDown match. How can you be that inept that you're trying to plug a pay-per-view where these are things you don't see all the time, Raw and SmackDown stars going at it, and then do one of them just off the cuff on another show?
Yeah.
You can't be this bad at this.
And also, the Night of Champions main event six-way had a bunch of Raw and SmackDown stars in.
Did it?
Well, Randy is SmackDown.
No, Randy's Raw. That's why he's WWE champion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, then.
But anyway, so yeah, there's a crowd go very, very quiet for this. Swagger jumps over the ropes, but Edge blocks him. I guess that's why I've actually written Edge books him here. I was writing my notes because I was doing this on the train home, and I didn't have a second screen. So I just had the video playing and my note document at 40% visibility. So a lot of my notes here are slightly misspelt. But yeah, Edge jumps. Oh, I know it is. Swagger jumps over the ropes and Edge boots him. And Cole said, that was cute. And Stryker giggles and says, you just called a man cute. And Cole just goes, I just called the move cute. Bad night for Stryker.
Some of his own design, but also I do think there's some blame on the toxic work environment at this time.
Case in point, Edge had a series of injuries that he's come back from. And so Stryker mentioned those injuries earlier in the match, and then he mentions them again because Swagger goes to target them. He's like, look, those are the injuries that Edge has. And King says, you made that point earlier.
If that's what Stryker and Cole are saying to him, What is Vince saying to him on the headset?
Well, I mean, what they're repeating is what Vince is telling him in the
that's
headset.
fair.
He's already said that. Tell him he's already said it. He's an idiot.
Where's Todd?
Where's Todd? So I can shout at him as well. Yeah, so anyway, okay, an actual problem with King burying him for saying the same point again is because Swagger was doing that because he was about to do the ankle lock. So if Striker there is setting up, he's had a history of ankle problems, and then he locks in the ankle lock, you can use the effects of commentary to back up what's happening in the ring. But King's like, you said that already, dickheads. Come up with something new. So the ankle lock goes outside the ring, but Edge rolls through and Swagger goes into the steps. Edge then goes out of the ring and he knocks over a cameraman. Bad night for them. Belly to belly by Swagger off the top rope. And then Striker is going at 100 miles an hour with his commentary, and King says, Matt, slow down.
Slow the F
down.
Like Jericho to Shane McMahon.
Edge avoids a Vader bomb, goes for a spear. Swagger avoids that into a Swagger bomb for a near fall. He was delayed getting the pin. Smart man. They do a dragon screw where Edge lands horribly.
Should I try find this actually? Because it's near the end of the match.
Ankle lock spear out of nowhere for the win. Edge looked like he was favouring his leg towards the end of that because it is a horrid landing off the dragon screw.
Yeah, if it just feels like Swagger goes one way and Edge goes the other.
Yep, there's the ankle lock. There's more of the ankle lock.
Also in all this, Swagger's mouth gets busted open.
Yeah, well, there's also a point
where that happened.
Striker's talking about how Edge's eye is swollen, and he's like, oh, he's got a swollen eye, and then it cuts to it, and he hasn't. And you bet it. King does reference the fact that Striker got it wrong. Most of my notes here did feel like they were just about the commentary, so I apologize if that's how it came across.
Well, I mean, the match isn't that interesting. This is a TV segment. Del Rio comes out for a promo. Edge interrupts. Swagger interrupts. Match is made by the Raw general manager.
Yeah.
And then there's the 5-7 minute match. But yeah, we do get this beauty.
Oh!
So Swagger goes for the dragon screw, and Edge at the same time tries to do the sort of flip into the kick.
The enziguri. I think what happens there is that Swagger goes one way. Edge thinks he's going to go the other way. So they jump in opposite directions. Just it jars. It's a proper
Yeah, it's like Edge is down on the ground, but his knee is still facing upwards.
Yeah.
I don't know whose fault that is. It's either a miscommunication over what the spot was going to be leading into it.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, because you can clearly see by Swagger's body, he's going for the dragon screw.
That's a good point. Or did Edge think, we're going to do an enziguri spot because I've caught the boot? Yeah.
Well, it screwed up whatever it was.
Wrestling Observer would say the work in this match was better than average, but the crowd was dead. 2.5 stars. And Brian Alvarez would say they had a SmackDown match. Nothing wrong with it, but also nothing special. 2 stars.
Pay-per-view.
We get a promo for Don't Try This at Home, and then the Nexus are chatting backstage.
How weird. I got the pay-per-view, the Don't Try This at Home, after the first match.
Did you now? Huh. That is weird, isn't it?
It's like when we review director's cuts and theatrical cuts on Cutscene, and we're like, why did they move this scene?
Yeah.
There's it's still the same scene.
For the network or the DVD edit, you're like, well, actually, we should put that earlier in the show. Maybe it was there to cover up the legendary...
Oh, potentially.
Potentially, yeah. So the next to the chat, it's minus Wade. So it's Otunga, Gabriel, Slater, and the other one. And Tava, I know. And they are... Otunga... Next is a band from ringside. And Otunga is saying, look, I know Wade has given his instructions. Now, I trust Wade. Look to where he's got us to this point. But I think we need to have a plan of our own if we're going to make this work.
I am the second in command now because I am married to Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah. That is why I'm going to continue getting a push in this company for years to come.
That's why I'm the last one standing, it feels like, out of all of you.
I mean, he really sort of...
I think he was, wasn't he?
Well, he was, yeah, before Wade comes back, yeah, because he's on commentary. Do you remember he was on commentary?
Remember he was John Laurinaitis' coffee holding assistant?
He sips the coffee cup. Because I cannot believe we're already at this match. We're at the semi-main event. It feels like we've sped through this pay-per-view.
Well, not much happens.
We've only been recording for 40 minutes since we come back from our lunch break. It's going to be one of the shorter episodes. But it is John Cena versus Wade Barrett. If Wade wins, Cena joins the Nexus. If Cena wins, then the Nexus will break up.
So, yeah, this is the crux of the whole series we're doing. We've had the 7-on-7 loss when Wade and Justin Gabriel were beaten by John Cena. Then we have Night of Champions, where Wade is in the 6-person match. But we spoke about how that would have been a really cool gimmick if all the champions were defending against Nexus members.
Yeah.
Who eliminated Wade in that match? Is it Cena or is it Orton?
I think it's Orton.
Yeah.
Because I think Wade eliminates Cena.
So I guess you've got that. Because Wade eliminated Cena, now that's the justification for this match. But Cena wanted to fight Wade, and then they had a gauntlet match where Wade's like, well, you've got to beat all the Nexus before you get a shot at me. So he beats them quite easily.
Yeah, Cena beats every single member other than Wade in the Nexus to get this match in one go.
In a row?
He didn't need the 7-on-7. It could have been 7-on-1, and Cena would have won it on his own. That's why it took so long.
So I really do want to get across. Cena did hold people down.
Well, the booking of Cena held people down.
The booking of Cena held people down. But he could have spoken up against it.
He could have done, because he was in a position of power where, in the same way that Triple H was always in a position of power where he could have said, let's not do this because it will make the other person look bad. And instead was like, how can we do it so it makes me look even better than... Because that's actually the most important thing here. Cena could have at any point said, maybe we should give the Nexus some credibility here. And I actually am going up against some adversity against this group.
We always used to think that the 7-on-7 was Cena actually burying the Nexus. But I do more agree with what you laid out, the argument that actually he changed the DDT onto the concrete spot.
Yes. Yeah, because he thought we need to add that in before I win. Because I'm going to win, because that's what Vince has decided. But yeah, it's again, how can you be this bad at doing wrestling booking? But if you want to make your group feel like a legit threat, maybe don't have one guy beat all of them in a gauntlet match really quite easily, barely breaking a sweat.
Yeah.
It's inept, man.
And then Wade's like, well, you've beaten them all, but you won't beat me.
I need you in my group. I've got a bunch of losers on my side here. I definitely need your help now.
So obviously, if Cena loses, he joins the Nexus. But if the Nexus lose, they have to disband. And Lawler says, well, I don't know what will happen to the Nexus after this. And Stryker goes, well, someone will probably go to SmackDown. The rest will go to Raw. The stakes!
The stakes. So, great question, actually, because this will become the commentary in this match is horrendous. And I think it's because I don't know if all three of them and the people in the ring and the creative team really know what's at stake here. Because the way that Cole and King talk about it is the future of WWE is at stake if Cena loses here. If Nexus win, like if Wade wins here, it's the end of WWE. And, they're sort of worrying about their jobs. It's like, but they're not... John Cena's not the owner of WWE. He's not Vince. He's not even the WWE champion. He's just a guy on the roster.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think what they're trying to say is, well, Cena is the face of the company. If he becomes a Nexus member, what does that mean for all of our jobs? Like, Nexus will run this place into the ground. But yeah, I agree that the messaging, it's not particularly clear. It just sounds like they're spiraling hard.
And I guess the other argument is that he's the embodiment of WWE. He's the embodiment. Fans love John Cena. And can you imagine what would happen if the fans don't have someone to rally behind like John Cena against this invading force of the Nexus who are under WWE contracts? So I kind of get it from that aspect of it. But A, Cena's not that guy. No one has ever treated John Cena that way. And B, well, do you know what will happen? Next night on Raw, he doesn't care. And he just shows up, never wears the t-shirt, barely wears the armband, and it does not affect him in any way, shape, or form.
We don't know that right now.
We do not know that yet. But but Stryker, on the other hand, is playing the heel role. He loves Nexus. And I guess Striker's justification for it is he likes how these are young guys who are trying to make a name for themselves in WWE against the establishment like John Cena and like Randy Orton. But then when they're like, but your job might be at stake, he's like, yeah, but I like him.
Well, the better slant there, I think, would be for Striker, not to say outright, but Lawler can accuse him of it. Oh, I know why you're saying this about the Nexus, because you want to keep your job in the Nexus run regime.
Because there's a point when, like, there's a Let's Go Cena chant, and Cena sucks. And this again goes back to my argument of I think he's just doing it for Twitter. Is that he then's like, it's actually just the children and girls that are chanting for Cena. The men aren't chanting for Cena. The men want Nexus to win.
There's a rare glimpse of future Michael Cole here, though. Like, really good Michael Cole that we get in the Levesque era. Because Striker is saying all this about the Nexus, and Cole goes into that babyface gear that he has. Where he's like, how can you say that? They tore apart our commentary booth. Like, Cole, I thought, in that moment, even on this show where he's actually turning heel, he was a really good moral babyface voice against Striker.
Yeah, absolutely. So Striker is all up for Cena joining the group. Cole is very angry about it. And also, you know, if you are the Nexus, you know, maybe you want some workhorses in your group. I don't think John Cena's the guy for that. We've got some absolutely classic, terrible Cena wrestling as we ask the question. What is that dropkick? He's so bad at it.
He hits the leg drop off the top rope as well.
The leg drop of doom.
It's so ugly.
What is that dropkick?
Boing.
Yeah, it is. It is just like someone who can't move any of their muscles.
Have you ever got like an empty Smarties packet?
Yeah.
The tubes, and then just tapped it from the bottom up?
He's an action figure with no points of articulation. He is what the Paw Patrol toys are. Really annoys me, actually, the Paw Patrol toys don't have. They got 1 point of articulation, can turn their heads. Rubbish.
Also, this feels like a really important match.
The crowd are so hyped for this.
And it's huge stakes. It's stakes. Well, sort of the story has been about don't let people interfere. This is a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Bold idea here. Don't put Orton and Sheamus in Hell in a Cell. Open the show with Undertaker, Kane in Hell in a Cell. I know, though. What about that finish? You want to end the show on that. I think Cena losing to Wade in Hell in a Cell is the better end to this show.
It's the much better end.
And it makes Nexus the focal point of the company. Which, you know, it isn't. It isn't by this point. It's just Cena's Monster of the Week. But in our timeline where we're booking this great Nexus storyline, where they win at SummerSlam, where all of them fight for titles and win some at Night of Champions, Wade's the WWE champion going into this, not Randy Orton.
Yeah.
And it's Wade putting his belt on the line and John putting I will join the Nexus on the line. In Hell in a Cell.
So you don't have to then beat all 6 members of the Nexus to get this match. It's like, you want a shot of me? All right, fine. But if I win, you've got to join the Nexus. And so Cena's like, I have to do this because I have to get that away from you.
And you know what we're all thinking at that time then? Cena wins, LOL. And then he doesn't.
Yeah.
That's Infinity War.
They also just casually note on commentary that Darren Young's kicked out of the group.
Yeah, when did that happen?
In between our last 2 shows. So in the 2 weeks since Night of Champions. But so Wade is, you know, the match is what it is because it is a John Cena match where he is.
Wade isn't great either. Like, what?
Yeah, he's fine.
He's Sheamus by this point, you know, because Wade is a developmental wrestler at this point. He has had, I don't know when he started on the Indies, but I never heard of Stu Bennett having a big name on the British Indies, did you?
Not particularly.
I did hear about Seamus O'Shaughnessy.
Yeah, well, that's because we watched Irish Whip Wrestling on the
wrestling channel. But you never saw Stu's name pop up. But then here, it's like it's not a good match because you're wrestling Cena and Wade is, I don't know if he's green, but he's certainly green at a main event level by himself in a singles
match. Sort of exposed him a little bit, particularly when you don't have the ring general that you need in there. You're in there with John Cena, who is who he is in terms of actual like wrestling ability. But I was into a podcast the other day with some Cena's matches that just seem so like slow and plodding now, and I was like, now. They've always been this way. It's like it's everyone's eyes just suddenly like everyone's put on the glasses now, and they can all see the billboard say "obey." But Nexus come down, and Wade uses this as a distraction, but he yells at the lads to stick to the plan. They can't get involved because if a member of the Nexus touches John Cena, it's an automatic loss for the group. So I'm not sure what David Otunga's plan was.
Yeah, well, was it the fans?
That's my assumption.
Yeah, because they come out and Cena is out wrestling Wade.
No,
is the story.
I think actually it's revealed it's Wade's plan for the two guys to interfere.
Oh, so he was like, "Don't come down.
I've got a plan in place."
Yeah, so Cena is out wrestling Wade, by the way. That's the story of the opening few minutes. Then Nexus come down and Cena's distracted. Wade gets on top. He's like, "What?" Like you just said, why are you down here? Cena, it's like the second move that's hit on him. Dead. Straight away, I'm asleep on the floor.
Yeah.
And then Wade throws him into the barricade, then chucks him back in the ring. And Cena is just like, it's just like he's wrestled that opening Hell in a Cell match. He is down, unconscious. Nothing's waking this guy up.
No. And
that is not good selling.
And then he just gets worked over while the commentary is bad. And then he starts the 5 moves of doom. Nexus come back down. They surround the ring. And then all of a sudden, Big Show, who's against John Cena for bragging rights? And me, the Big Show, runs down. And the rest of the locker room down. R-Truth, John Morrison, they all come down here. And they beat up the Nexus and drag it to the back. And then Stryker's like, "That's what a brotherhood looks like." Like, who the fuck are you, Matt? You were just cheering for the Nexus a moment ago.
So I was trying to know I couldn't, honestly. I tried. I couldn't note down everyone who was in here. I think I got most of them. Chris Masters, the Hart Dynasty, Goldust, Dolph Ziggler, he's a heel, Mark Henry, John Morrison, like you said, Kofi Kingston, MVP, I think?
Yeah.
Evan Bourne, and Daniel Bryan. Shouldn't that be a bigger story?
Shouldn't that be a bigger deal?
That Daniel Bryan, just 6 weeks ago, was fighting them at SummerSlam. I mean, granted, so was... no one else was in that team. John Morrison
was. And R-Truth.
But R-Truth wasn't out there.
Oh, was he not?
Not that I could see.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I missed him. It's just like, what a waste of that. And actually, you're right. So Otunga's big plan to get around the stipulation of don't interfere in the match was to interfere in the match.
Yeah,
they surrounded the ring.
Just hope the referee doesn't see it. That's his big plan.
They were on all 4 sides. The referee couldn't not see it.
Yeah, I know. And at that point, so then, all the Nexus get dragged back ringside. And Michael Cole says, the playing field is level again. I'm like, it was level. The stips make it level.
Look at this. So... I hate this.
I love how much just seeing his face annoys you so much.
Look, I know we all like John Cena now. He's great in movies. The heel run I'm enjoying it. I hate him. I hate character John Cena from this era. The baby faces run down. Well, not baby. The locker room runs down. They take out the Nexus. And then they're all walking off. Job done. And John Cena is watching this in the ring. Look at his stupid face. He's just grinning. Cena's loving it, they say.
Yeah. Remember all that selling you were doing a moment ago, John?
Yeah. No.
Absolutely none of it's affected him.
I'm in the fine part. God, they're all so lame. And now they're all like, yeah, you beat him, John.
And like, it's even. The whole point was they can't touch Cena. The stips make it even.
So I guess he could have done a lumberjack match. Ugh.
Now he's like, now it's just one-on-one. Which was what the stipulation of this match was anyway.
Well, to his defense, it wasn't. It was in danger of not. But then he
But
would have lost.
They would have lost.
Nexus would have lost.
If anything, it actually behooves John Cena for Nexus to interfere, because then he would have got an automatic win.
Yeah.
If anything,
Punch me.
yeah. If anything, the locker room emptying there has made it harder for John Cena now to win this match.
Now, you might have seen that big angle, that run-in and that brawl, and seen, like, now it's the end game, and thought, well, we're probably, like, 2 minutes away from the finish. This is, like, the opening third,
I know.
and it just goes on forever. There's a wasteland, there's the hideous leg drop from the top rope, Cena stands up into an AA kick out, and then we get the finishy bit.
So I'm just going to play you the clip of
The Matt Striker making the point about the chants.
Side slam. Is it enough to put Cena away? Cena's in trouble. Barrett with the win. No, Cena at 2.5. And the Let's Go Cena chants are coming from the kids and the girls in the crowd. The Let's Go Barrett chants are coming from the guys. You guys fit into the kids and girls. Your point.
The King is so annoyed.
Sandbag.
It's like it's
Dead weight.
It is pure silence. And King says, "What's your point? Why'd you say that?"
Yes, and. No, but.
Yeah, it's leg drop of doom. Cena kicks out of Wastelands. Wade kicks out the AA. STFU. Horrendous it looks as always. And then a fan jumps in the ring. And I think they do this really well, actually. The way that they shoot this and the way that commentary react to it, I think is really good, because a fan jumps in the ring and the referee immediately jumps on the fan to stop. And the commentary kind of stumble over themselves a little bit, and they're like, oh, it's a shame when these sorts of things happen. You know, you shouldn't condone these sorts of things. And then another fan runs out and clobbers Cena with something, and Wade pins Cena.
Yeah, it's. I think they learned a lot from the original Nexus angle, which felt very realistic. They did the same thing here. It felt totally visually the same as watching a shoot fan run into the ring. And I do think part of that is because they are in super civilian clothing. They do not look like wrestlers.
No.
Obviously they are. It's Michael McGillicuddy is in great shape. Curtis
and
Axel.
Bray Wyatt.
But Bray Wyatt, he doesn't have that WWE body type. In normal clothes, and you're not familiar with him, that doesn't look like a wrestler.
Yeah.
It looks like a guy who's run in. So yeah, I was impressed with that bit, and impressed with the way they sold it afterwards as a genuinely big deal.
It is awesome, because Wade wins, and he's up the ramp and he's celebrating and stuff. And Cena, I'll rag on Cena with the best of them. He gets over the emotion of what has happened here. And I think Cole gets over the emotion of what has actually happened here.
Yeah.
But it has resonated with people, because they find so many shots of people in the crowd stunned. As if it never occurred to them in a million years that Cena might lose this match and have to join the Nexus. There's a guy who's got his hand, is like, what?
Yeah.
He cannot believe it. There's kids it feels like there's kids crying because their hero has now got to join the baddies, got to join the Cobra. G.I. Joe has lost, and now he's got to join the Cobra Commander.
You're right. It does feel like a kid, like in Transformers, the animated movie, and just everyone gets killed in the opening 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's that level of, what? The Saturday cartoon movie hero is dead. Can we just...
Oh, yeah.
But, it is also lame, because John Cena's sad. John Cena's sad. John Cena's sad.
Sell it, Emotion John.
Oh, no.
Sell me on buying Legendary on DVD at Walmart.
I am glad you're upset. Yeah, and you get loads of shots like that, like kids growing up quite a lot in an instant.
It's great.
But I watch all this. I watch the kids crying. I watch the mothers shocked. I watch John Cena going, and I just think, you suckers. You lame suckers. For first off, liking John Cena, and secondly, thinking it's going to pay off.
I'm thinking it's going to be good.
Because Ollie in 2025, with the benefit of hindsight, thinks you're all stupid.
Yeah.
Muy stupido.
I think it's a really good selling of the final angle. If they were to lean into what Stryker was talking about, right? If they was going to lean into the fact that, kids and girls like John Cena and men like... I mean, it actually is what The Rock does in when he comes in. It's just like, well, the problem with you, John Cena, is that men don't like you. You know, children like you, but men like me. And imagine if you'd have lent into that more, and it was just fans that attacked, but it's just male fans who are like, I'm so sick of John Cena. And you lent into this real, like, this fan resentment from a certain portion of the audience against this guy.
That's not a terrible idea. And then Nexus recruits those people, and they turn out to be Husky
wrestlers.
Harris. There were 3 went there: Husky Harris, McGillicuddy, and in those initial call-up bits, I thought there was a 3rd.
Oh, right. So you're talking about when they split off the groups? Because
I feel like in the next couple of months.
So there's Mason Ryan, who doesn't come through from NXT.
Right.
He's just a big guy that looks like Batista.
Yeah.
And is from Wales.
He's from Wales. Do you want to hear my notes?
I'd love to.
This is. I don't really read out my notes because I think both our notes, if you just read them unedited, it's a stream of consciousness. They're not good. But I think this is an insight into how I feel about this segment. As well done as it is, Cena is doing his lame, dejected selling, sitting in the corner. He looks really upset. Lame. So many shots of adult idiots in the crowd being sad about this. He's so lame. They're putting over how he must feel like he's let down WWE. He hugs a kid in the front row. Lame. That kid is lame.
Okay. Can I then? Where would you have been if you were to go back to 12-year-old Ollie and it's The Rock and he's got to join the NWO?
Yeah, it'd be cool. That's a cool thing. When Steve Austin, I always liked the bad guys. Even when I was a young kid, I was the kid asking at the Pizza Hut birthday party, I want Zed. I don't want a Power Ranger. And the lady didn't know. She was like, what's Zed? I was like, it's kind of like exposed muscle.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I said. But but maybe I'm unique.
Yeah.
But I thought, like most cool people, like the bad guys.
Yeah, I mean, and I know it was a bad example because they were cool,
and they're more interesting characters, I find generally.
Yeah, usually more often than not. I suppose I'm trying to find what would be a good example. Like if Rock had to join DX, and he was had to, and I don't think I would have wanted Rock joining the DX. I'm not sure I'd have cried about it. At 14 years old.
Yeah, not a pussy.
Dave Meltzer would say, very good match. They played up the ramifications of Cena having to join That's really what he said.
Very good match. The in-ring part of it.
Yeah, very good match.
I don't know what 2010 Dave Meltzer's on sometimes.
Very good match. They played up the ramifications of Cena having to join Nexus huge. The crowd was legitimately shocked, and it seemed as though they all thought Cena was winning 3.5 stars, which is what he gave to the opener as well, I think.
I think it's probably the sense of occasion and the importance might be influencing that.
Brian Alvarez would say a fan hit the ring. They acted like it was a shoot as the ref and security guy were getting rid of them, and then a second fan rushed in and clonked Cena with something. Cole was going batshit crazy that this couldn't be happening. Wade pinned him. They found tons of fans who were gobsmacked about what had just happened. It was awesome. It got one of those reactions where you could tell that the fans felt like they had seen something. Been a long time since WWE has provided something like that in a match. The replay showed the first fan was Michael McGillicuddy, hopefully with a less stupid name, and the second fan was Husky Harris. Cena just sat in the corner with his head in his hands afterwards. Match was way better than I expected, and it was a great finish. Cena got a mix of boos and applause afterwards. 3.5 stars.
Well, I'm glad maybe at the time it felt more impactful. Really good match, great match, 3.5 stars. There's a disconnect there. But maybe you could say the locker room running down was a bit of a 2010 Avengers moment. They all finally stood up to the Nexus.
Yeah.
It would have been better if it was the proper Avengers. Randy Orton.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not like
Edge.
main event guys. Yeah. We then get a promo for Paper Jams, which we talked about.
Oh, I didn't get that.
It's the same one with the Miz from the Night of Champions episode. And then Josh walks through purple because he's trying to find The Undertaker.
It's the spa that we saw in WWE HQ in the Money in the Bank 2020 match.
Instead, what he finds is Paul Bearer, who in the last 2 weeks since Night of Champions has returned to WWE and has returned to The Undertaker's side.
You know what? That's another huge thing that's happened in just 2 weeks. SmackDown premieres on Sci-Fi. Chris Jericho retired for now. And Paul Bearer returns.
Paul Bearer's back.
Which, look, I missed the Paul Bearer era. I wasn't watching wrestling, really. And when he would come back, I never really vibed. I respect the guy's work, Percy Pringle's work, and I love the cartoon presentation of it. But he does feel a bit out of step with 2010 WWE.
Yeah, it feels like they've done this as one last run, going back to the first big gimmick. Because he's not the original manager of The Undertaker. That was Brother Love. And he starts managing him like a year after Undertaker's debut. But I've told the story many times before on the show. I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling when I was a kid. My parents just didn't want me to watch it because they thought that I would probably try and imitate it. And my parents are smart people because I would have done, and I would have got myself hurt. But one of the first things I remember seeing during the 90s was I had a videotape that I borrowed off a friend that was Battle Royal at the Royal Albert Hall, and it's where Bulldog wins this Battle Royal. And it's awesome, and I loved it. And I watched it a lot, but I remember seeing a sticker book that had a picture of The Undertaker and Paul Bearer in it. And I was like, this is so cool. I was so drawn to The Undertaker. It's why he's probably one of my all-time favorite guys. Just because I was one of the first people I saw in the 90s that I want to see what this is. I have to know what wrestling is because of him. I want to know what he is, and I want to know what that is that's next to him. Just really love the visual of those two together. And then during the Attitude Era, when I got in 2000 and then went back and started watching the 98 stuff, Paul Bearer's still with Taker, and he's still with him in the Ministry of Darkness. And then you get all the stuff with Kane as well, and Paul Bearer then starts managing Kane, the father. Okay, and I love lore. I loved that lore side of wrestling. So when seeing these two together here, genuinely was I just feel so right to have them back on screen together. And this is the last time that they will be sort of associated with one another. I don't think Paul Bearer's with the company for much longer after this. And I seeing those two together, I was like, I actually written my notes here. It's just so right. This just feels right.
It's certainly a nice mirror image of history with this Hell in a Cell match being between Taker and Kane. And the first Hell in a Cell match involving Kane's debut, which was brought about by Paul Bearer. For the Undertaker-Kane lore-based story, which doesn't necessarily always mean great in-ring matches, it certainly is a fitting end.
It's genuinely lovely. And plus, Percy Pringle's work and the promo style that he would do for The Undertaker. I absolutely loved it. I remember watching old wrestling tapes from the 90s, and it's the casket match between Paul Bearer and Yokozuna. Between The Undertaker and Yokozuna, and Paul Bearer's doing this promo. I was like, I've made an extra wide casket for you, Yokozuna. I think he's magical as a manager. It's him and James Mitchell, the two guys I'll always go to. But yes, he points out, Kane may be the devil's favorite demon, but he is not the father of destruction's favorite son.
Is he talking about the Hell in a Cell?
So then we get a promo for Make a Wish.
Well, he also said he's been working on a master plan for the last 6 years, which is the last time we saw Bearer.
Yeah, and the last time we saw him, do you remember what happened to Paul Bearer?
Was he electrocuted?
Got buried in cement by The Undertaker.
So probably wants some revenge.
Yeah, well, you'd think so, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of his master plan. But yeah, then we get the promo for Make a Wish. And you know what? I'm a grown adult man. I think kids dying is a bit sad. So I did get a bit teary during this.
I wrote, this is my notes again. It's a sign of how much I hated WWE at this point that I found this really cheesy.
So Dave Meltzer wrote in The Observer, the airing of the big Make-A-Wish video on the premiere of SmackDown on Sci-Fi and in other places is because of the Linda McMahon race. With the race as close as it is, you'll be seeing a lot of this type of thing over the next few weeks. The Democrats floated that one. McMahon then on the day of the debate released a TV commercial showing one of Blumenthal's speeches, who is her Republican opponent. From 2003, where he talked about what happened when he came back from Vietnam when Republicans mentioned was done to shake up prior to the debate. So yeah, the whole reason this is on TV and here on pay-per-view is because we have to get Linda to win.
Yeah, so forgive me if I'm not more swept up in the emotion, not to belittle the work that the wrestlers do with the kids and the Make-A-Wish Foundation and the kids, of course, themselves. But the reasons behind it even before I knew about the Linda stuff, it still comes off as so cynically exploitative. Stephanie McMahon famously gave that interview speech where she said, look, the future of PR is charity.
Yeah, but she also, I think she put up a tweet as well once where she said, the only real reason to do philanthropy is to promote that you're doing philanthropy.
Yeah, not for the good,
not
for the nice feelings it gives you.
The way that brands will win is by announcing that they're doing good things.
And, she did predict that because, when you get to 2020, what do all the brands do? Oh, what's the hot social justice trend? Let's adopt that. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as those social justice trends don't become the jour de vivre of the day, they drop it.
Yeah.
And then they pivot to a sort of more...
a different thing.
To a different thing.
That's it.
Which kind of exposes that they were never really in it for the good.
No.
They were in it for how they come across.
Yeah. So we're on a podcast platform, and I had to create profiles for us for like ad reads and stuff. So like they know then what type of ads to sell onto our shows because they can learn a little bit more about us as hosts and what we do as the show.
Anything for the Saudi regime, he said.
And one of the questions on the form that I had to fill out was, what brands do you love? I'm like, do people love brands?
Yeah, they do.
Like, is that like a thing?
Well, I feel like we've talked about. I feel like I'm a Warner Bros. Kid.
Yeah,
I love HBO.
Well, I don't think that's you loving a brand. You like the films that they make, but you don't love every film that they make. You're not dyed-in-the-wool Warner Brothers.
I feel an allegiance to. If you just put a Warner Bros. Logo and a Disney logo in front of me, I'll go, of course Warner Bros. Of course Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, but you can argue that is IP based. I actually had this conversation.
I was about to say it's IP.
I had this conversation last night because we were watching Wimbledon, and I was like, a lot of people sponsored by Nike, and I said to my partner, I was like, if Nike and Adidas came to you, exact same offer, exact same terms, who do you go with? And we both said Adidas because we just feel like we're Adidas people. Who would you go for?
I would go with Adidas because Orton wore a lot of Adidas.
There you go.
Yeah,
we're Korn Adidas people.
But that's not big. But I don't love the brand of Adidas or Adidas if you're American.
I do think people love brands, and that is the trick of marketing. And I certainly love brands, certain brands.
Yeah.
What
brands do you love? Because I just
told you a bunch.
Yeah,
Adidas, Mr. Marvis, who make really good trousers. But it's usually based on, at some point, they have made something of a very high quality that I really like. And I'm like, I now trust that brand. I will argue for that brand over other ones because I think that's a good...
But then why do you have a Witch subscription?
Because I've got to find the new brands. Look, what about iPhone? The iPhone isn't particularly a better machine than Android or Samsung or Huawei or whatever. No, but people love Apple.
Well, okay, so I have an iPhone, and I've had an iPhone. I can't remember the last time I had a non-iPhone. Well, actually, I had a Samsung for a bit, and before that, I had an iPhone as well. I had an iPhone, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to have an Android phone. And then the reason why I went back to Apple, it's not because I suddenly loved the Apple brand or realized that having an Android device, like, oh no, I love the Apple brand. It's like, no, the podcast player is better on iPhones. So I'm just going to go back to iPhones because I want the podcast player again. And that is why, as the only reason why I will ever get an iPhone, is because I like the podcast player on it. And I've yet to have a phone that's got a better podcast player on it.
I think you're tricking yourself.
Why? It's a phone. It's a phone. Do you know what it does? It sends WhatsApp is the same on here as it is on Android. Instagram is the same one here as it's like they're just the same apps.
I think you have a unconscious allegiance to certain brands. And everyone does.
Okay, if I have an allegiance, but that doesn't mean I love but I don't love the brand. I wouldn't wear an Apple t-shirt. I wouldn't walk around being like, do you know what I love? Apple.
You wear like Mega Drive t-shirts.
Right, but that's because I liked that product, and I've got a lot of nostalgia for that product.
You're a Sega guy.
But I don't love Sega as a brand.
You don't love Sega as a brand?
Well, they're fine. They made one of my favorite consoles of all time, but also like Nintendo.
I love Nintendo as a brand.
Yeah, I don't think I love them as a brand though.
You don't love everything they stand for. Nintendo, they're all about.
Actually, some of that stuff, they won't take their shareholders and stuff don't get bonuses unless they actually do well, and there's stuff like that Nintendo do that I think is very nice, but I don't think I would just. If I said I loved a brand, that would mean I would only ever buy Nintendo products, which I can't do. I own a PlayStation, but I'm not like loyal to Sony because I have a Samsung TV. Is it a Samsung TV? I have no idea. It is a Samsung TV.
LG.
No, it is Samsung, so it's got a TV Plus on it.
I don't think loving a brand means you never buy. There will be those people out there like the Apple heads. Like, I only buy Apple forever and ever. But then most normal people will have an allegiance and a like or a love of a brand, but still like, oh, this one's come out. I'll buy this, or I'll buy different versions of things. I guess,
and I totally understand what you mean. It's just because the question came up. What brands do you love?
Yeah.
That made me just like, and I paused like, none? I don't think I love a brand. I had to search for Adobe because we use it. I was like, well, that's at least an answer.
You love Adobe.
I had to put down three, and I put down Apple because we use Macs at work, and I put down Adobe because we edit things on Premiere Pro.
I would have put Warner Bros. I would have put Netflix, HBO, AEW.
So you like streaming services?
Yeah, I love streaming services. I'd have put Apple. I would have put Mr. Marvis. I would have put. I think Samsung are a good brand.
Yeah,
I always get Samsung phones. Adidas. Did I say Adidas?
You haven't said them yet, but you have now.
I like
Monzo.
I like the banking brand of Monzo. I also kind of like Lloyd's, but I think that might be because my parents opened me an account when I was 11.
Well, that's it. I have a HSBC account because that was the closest bank branch that was near to me in 2001 when I had to open one. I had to check the year then.
You know what?
It was in 2000 actually I had to open that.
I will go to bat for Hyperoptic, my internet service. I love Hyperoptic. I've tried out a few other different internet providers. They're all ropey. Hyperoptic has been consistently brilliant in two. This is not paid for content, by the way. I'm just trying to prove a point that you can love and feel allegiance to brands.
So my internet provider is, because I'm in a new build estate, you had to use one of like these 3 pre-approved ones, and for like a certain period of time, and that finished recently. And I've not changed it because, well, this one's fine.
Yeah,
there's like this brand here. I don't even really know who they are, but they provide the internet to me and it works. So that's fine by me. But I'm not like, well, I've got to get onto a different internet provider. In fact, the only reason that might make me want to is that it is owned by Sky, and I'd rather not give any money to the Murdoch Empire. Justice for the 97. But I would rather not give any money towards Sky. But that would be the only reason why I would do it. It's not because because I love that brand. It's because I dislike another one way more.
Well, don't you think if you hate brands, therefore you can love brands too?
I guess there's an argument to be made, but I think my hatred, it's not like I hate one so much that I'm like, it makes me love another.
No, but just that you have the capacity to hate a brand.
Well,
feel that strong.
No, but I don't hate the brand, I hate the person. And I hate the person and the empire that he has created, because I think that he has been a toxic force amongst British media and a lot of other things within the world. And I think he's a bad person, so I'd rather not give him money. I've cancelled my Amazon subscription because I'd rather not fund Bezos.
Yeah, well, I hate Nestle. Always have done.
Yeah.
But that is not because it's a person. That's because that is a room of shady people.
Very shady people, but Yorkies are delicious.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem, though, isn't it?
It's the problem.
Because my brother's also on, like, he also hates Nestle for all of the reasons that you've just said then. And I'm like, yeah, but Yorkie, biscuit and raisin, is probably the best chocolate bar in the world that isn't a double-decker.
The Nesquik strawberry milkshake. whip it up in some milk. Oh, look, the stuff I sacrifice for my morals. I haven't had that for, I don't know, 20 years.
20 years now. Anyway, that was a long old tangent. We've now got to talk about the Divas Championship match against Michelle McCool and Natalia.
Oh, God, we're not at the... I thought we were at the main event.
I said during the last match, we're at the semi-main. I forgot there was a match in between. It's all right. It doesn't go long. But it is Michelle McCool. She is now the unified Divas champion because she won that at Night of Champions. The Women's Championship is now a defunct title. Layla caused the distraction so we can get into a rest hold. Natalia gets out of that and we go back to a rest hold. And that's when Matt Striker says the commentary team for SmackDown is Todd Grisham and Matt Striker. I was like, can you imagine that show?
This is the worst for the commentary on the whole card. Because Striker starts comparing Natalia, third generation, to Michelle McCool, former school teacher.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, like you were a school teacher. He then calls McCool arguably the greatest in-ring diva of all time, but he is a heel. Then Striker mentions that he called his girlfriend Pumpkin, and then it just becomes about vegetables.
Yeah, it goes off the rails. And it was already off the rails anyway. Bad time.
Also, Cole is here saying Lay Cool are pretty good. They're
I like
growing
them.
on me.
Oh, yeah, I really like them.
So now you've got clearly heel Michael Cole, clearly heel Matt Striker, who's also really pro Lay Cool, and disinterested Jerry Lawler.
He's not that disinterested. He is, masturbating at ringside.
Horny Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
Who in their right mind would listen to this? They're actively trying to stop you watching.
Oh, I know, but I think some people might say that about this podcast as well.
I like the brand loyalty check. It was an interesting conversation. The problem is we realised we're going short on this episode.
Trying to drive this towards Patreon and get those watch numbers up. So
we need the watch hours.
Those watch hours have got to go up, man. We need to see green. We need to see green on those watch hours. Nelly gets distracted by Layla, who then accidentally hits Michelle McCool, and the referee misses a visual pin. McCool reverses a sharpshooter into a heel hook, and Striker calls this 21st century Divas wrestling. And then Layla throws a shoe, and McCool gets DQ'd. Good work, Striker.
Striker then says, "Who throws a shoe?" Which popped me.
Yeah.
It's an Austin Powers quote.
He then said, man, Layla's a real heel.
Yeah, not as good when he says that part. Lay Cool then run off and Natty poses with the belt that she hasn't won. And the commentators are not really paying attention to that. They're just guffawing, about how Cole likes Lay Cool and they won't hang out with Jerry backstage.
Yeah.
I don't think that's why they're not hanging out with Jerry backstage.
They're too old anyway.
They've been told to avoid him.
Dave would say, from a working standpoint, not that this was good, but it was so much better than the women's matches that have been on TV and pay-per-view in recent months. The funniest part was Striker saying that Michelle McCool was the, quote, best in-ring performer of all time. Yes, Michelle McCool. Even funnier, Striker himself, after saying it, realised even for him that was stupid and said, except Fabulous Moolah and Trish Stratus. Fabulous Moolah, a great in-ring performer. Maybe next time Luke Gallows wrestles, he can say the greatest in-ring performer of all time, except for Kurt Hennig and Brutus Beefcake. 1.5 stars.
Wow.
And Brian Alfred would say, shit finish, but I approve of it because it guarantees a rematch. This was the best women's in-ring action in a while at 2.5 stars.
But it has been, of all the matches we've watched, Natalia can actually wrestle. She is a trained wrestler as opposed to models wrestling.
I thought the Night of Champions match was better than this.
Which was
McCool versus Melina. I thought that was better than this.
Oh,
it was only 2 weeks ago.
It's had a sharpshooter in. That's what they really mean. They saw a sharpshooter from someone kind of connected to Bret Hart.
Well, coming up next, it is our main event for the World Heavyweight Championship as Kane takes on The Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell.
I foolishly was looking forward to this. At the start of my notes, I'm like, you know what? I said at the start of this episode, this has been one of my favourite bits of the shows we've been reviewing. The Kane trying to find out who hurt his brother, The Undertaker, who put him in the comatose state.
Vegetative state.
It's a vegetative state. Then it being revealed that it was Kane, Undertaker in the coffin, the angle with Mysterio. We both enjoyed the match. at Night of Champions 2 weeks previously, where Taker, has he got it anymore?
It's just like Kane dominated and won.
The younger brother is becoming the dominant brother, and he has retained the WWE title. And now they're going to have another match in Hell in a Cell. Like we've already said, the perfect place to have their feud, considering where it started in 97.
Started in Hell in a Cell, it will end in Hell in a Cell.
It's boring.
I was going to ask what you thought of this match up front, because I thought this match was dog shit. This is a bad match.
There's a lot of copium in my notes. Because kind of the story of the first match with Sheamus and Randy Orton was Sheamus didn't want to get involved with the cage.
Yeah.
He wanted to keep the action in the ring. And what we get for the opening 5 minutes of Kane Taker is them just brawling around the ring, because Kane jumps Taker in the entrance and they start fighting. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great way to differentiate it from the opening match. But then it just kept on going.
And it's just punches, kicks, punches, kicks, chokes in the corner, punches, kicks. It is tedious. So it's like they did all the stuff around the ring, which really was, it's crowd brawling during the Attitude Era. It's like, well, we've got 12 minutes for this main event, but we could do only 6 minutes worth of work if we just do half of it during brawling through the crowd, or walk and brawl.
Yeah, because how long is this match?
It's about 21 minutes.
21 minutes, yeah. This
the brawling,
half an hour.
The brawling around the ring is only like the first 5, and then the rest of it is just these punches in the corner.
I've got a coal line actually, because to this we've got a Hell in a Cell thing here. Carnal, wicked, and uncivilized.
Uncivilized.
Perverted, diabolical, career-threatening, carnal, wicked, uncivilized.
If Uncivilized was the sequel to Wicked, I've literally written here. I've not made any notes, but if I were, they would be Kane punches Taker, Taker punches Kane. And we get the Hell's Gate, which thankfully is a move. Kane breaks free, and Striker says, Kane needed to get some air back into that brain to think his demonic thoughts.
Yeah.
It's absolutely rubbish.
There's a vague bit about Kane working over Taker's leg. He gets it in between the steel steps and the ring post, kicks it, and then Taker just keeps on doing things involving his leg and failing.
Well, yeah. The idea being that he won't be able to do the choke slam because he won't have the base to lift them up. He won't be able to do the last ride. He certainly won't be able to do the tombstones. It's a really smart bit of business by Kane. Taker will hit all 3 of those moves though.
But he goes for old school. And this isn't Seth Rollins where he hops up to the top rope.
Yeah.
Taker is limping up to the top rope to get over the fact that he's injured. But then Kane just targets the leg. So why did Taker do that? And Lawler even says, that was stupid. So Lawler's just annoyed at everyone.
He's checked out now. Kane kicks out of the chokeslam. Taker kicks out of the chokeslam. Kane kicks out of the last ride. Taker kicks out the tombstone. Kane decks the ref.
Yeah, so they also did a double big boot, double down spot. So it's just, they are equals. They know each other's movesets inside and out.
Yeah. So because the referee goes down, I did actually quite enjoy that spot actually, because Kane hits the tombstone, Taker kicks out, and Kane says, "What? Why? That was 3," and he punches the ref in the face. Which I thought was really, no, you idiot, it was 3. Boff.
Yeah.
And then so that means the door gets open so the referees can get in and escort their chum out.
It's like the Oompa Loompas, isn't it? Where they take off the dead one.
But this also allows Paul Barrett to get into the ring with the urn. And Barrett gets in. Kane starts chasing after him, which they have to do very slowly.
This is It Follows. Actually, should we just show
how slowly?
Of course, Percy Pringle by this time is not very mobile.
Yeah.
He can walk.
But they're old.
Can't run.
They're old men. It's a tight, confined space. He is a larger gentleman, if you will, but it just means that you get this.
Undertaker, we may see what kind of effect.
Yeah. So Kane is walking really slowly anyway,
Yeah.
and then has to slow down.
Slow down his pace.
Look, oh no!
Slow down a bit more.
And then he has to get up the
It's this
steel
bit
steps.
here. This is the tricky bit. Oh.
So Kane is just now he's pretending like he's the one directing the action. Yeah, get in there.
Get in the ring.
Just all right. You're still. Oh, pick up the urn.
And it's because we're going to set up what is a tremendous finish of this match. Should we go to it actually? Because this is some classic rubbish WWE cartoony nonsense. The sort of stuff that Ollie Davis absolutely adores.
So Kane was gonna beat up Paul Bearer. Taker does the sit up, saves Paul Bearer, takes out Kane, and then we get this. Paul Bearer is commanding Undertaker. Undertaker's getting those Undertaker bulging eyes. And then, really getting the realism over, we get lighting and sound effects.
Before, go to the cum face first. Then
the throat slit.
And he sets off lightning and fire and the lights. And because the lights are now out...
Yeah, it's sort of a purple thing. He picks up Kane for the tombstone.
Paul Bearer's...
Paul Bearer's fiddling with the light.
He's got a torch in the urn.
Look at this. Look at this.
Absolute state of this.
What it is it's how you can see Bearer
trying to
turning the switch of the prop on. There it is.
Yep.
Because it's dark and he can't see where the switch is. And I think Vince wants this to look like a soul.
That's exactly it, right?
That doesn't work when you see the guy turning on the light.
Yeah, well, what he does, because he looks at it himself first to be like, right, yeah, lights on. And then he's just, and like we said earlier, it doesn't hurt the Undertaker. It just sort of like annoys him a bit.
I mean, he gets a bit of Kane.
Look at the soul, son.
We're watching this. Gets a lot of Kane.
Yeah, a lot of Kane first.
Kane goes down.
I suppose it does blind him a little bit at first, doesn't it? And then he goes, "Oh, what was that?"
I mean, my mate's got one of those super high-powered ones, and I've looked at it. Yeah, that makes you like, whoa.
Oh.
But it doesn't make you... I didn't sell it for 30 seconds.
Well, Taker doesn't either, because then Taker stands up and he's like, "What was that, Paul?" And Paul's like, "Oh, yes!" And then Kane wins.
I think I don't know if you can hear this, maybe I made this up. The moment the lighting effects happen, like really listen out for this. I think you can hear high-pitched, whoa, from the kids and everyone. But I also think you can hear, ugh. I think you can hear the male groans. Am I hearing?
There's a little bit of like a.
We're doing this, are we?
Yeah.
I just watched Taker retire Shawn Michaels.
Yes, and then watched him punch Kane for 20 minutes. But yeah, bad match, I would say. Dave Meltzer gave it 0.5 star. And
wow.
Brian Alvarez would then say, match was okay, but way below cell standards. Kane and Bearer left together, so why did they end with this match and not Orton's babyface victory? You got me 1 star.
Or the Cena way back. If you're going to end with something like really, wow, what a shock, go with that one.
I'd say so.
Paul Bearer siding with Kane after 2 weeks with a torch.
Because he went down to millets and he put a torch in the urn and went, woo!
Bearer gave the urn to Kane. So it sort of seems like they're a thing. I don't know if Kane was in on it. Was he in on it from the start when Undertaker was put in a vegetative state?
I would have thought so. I'm just going to actually find out what happens next to this.
And then they walk up the ramp. We go from Undertaker's purple light flooding the arena to Kane's red light. And the closing shot, I've got to get this up, is the closest of close-ups.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They really zoom in on Kane's face to end this.
Like, so, yeah. Already quite close.
Already quite close. And then...
Already.
Oh, further.
He's still got a grimace.
Further.
Keep grimacing.
Further. Keep going. Keep going.
grimace. Do you think, like, Kane, don't blink. Don't blink.
Don't blink.
We just need the whole shot of you staring. Don't blink. Oh, but I can't keep it. Are we out?
Are we done? Are we out? Are we out? So I can confirm that he will be, Paul Barrett, that is, at the next show at Bragging Rights.
Yes.
Because we have got Kane versus The Undertaker.
It's me. Paul Barrett.
It's me. And then Kane enters a feud with Edge. David Otunga.
Yeah, what have we got to look forward to on Bragging Rights?
I'll tell you. I will tell you.
Which you can go over to Patreon right now, patreon.com/WrestleTalk, to watch that episode.
So we have got Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler in an inter-promotional singles match.
I bet that's good.
The Nexus, the tag team champions, the Nexus, against Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre.
So they win that in the next couple of weeks.
Oh no, sorry. I think they might not be the champions at that point. Actually, I thought they won them on TV. Ted DiBiase versus Goldust. Actually, I didn't talk about this, but it was in the Observer. They were like, they want to give Goldust something big because he's got a book out in December, so they want to like give him some stuff on TV.
Right. What, bigger than the A-Team? That was only June.
Well, Goldust wasn't in that bit, was he?
No, but Ted DiBiase was.
Oh, Ted DiBiase was. Yeah, you're right.
That was 4 months ago from Bragging Rights.
We have Natalya once again going for the Divas Championship, only this time the champion is Layla.
Ooh.
Kane versus The Undertaker. Team SmackDown. Alberto Del Rio, Big Show, Edge, Jack Swagger, Kofi Kingston, Rey Mysterio, and Tyler Rex taking on Team Raw, CM Punk, Ezekiel Jackson, John Morrison, The Miz, R-Truth, Santino Marella, and Sheamus.
At least we get a bit of CM Punk there.
In a 14-man elimination tag match for the Bragging Rights Trophy. And then the main event is Wade Barrett defeating Wade Barrett versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. If Barrett loses, Cena would have been fired. There you go. That's Bragging Rights.
What happens with that stipulation and the next night on Raw?
There you go. It is available now at patreon.com/. Well, here's the thing, is that I actually think what you're thinking of isn't at Bragging Rights.
What?
Yeah, no, I was right.
Wade loses?
No, he wins via DQ, so Cena keeps his job. But they then do the same stipulation at Survivor Series in the rematch.
It's worse than I thought.
When Cena is the special guest referee. Oh my God. That's at Survivor Series. That'll be the next episode publicly on Patreon. But you can go to that Bragging Rights one now at patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where you can also watch this episode without the blurring effects that we have to put on the video. By the way, apologies that the last video had so many edits in it. WWE just kept flagging it.
Yeah. We can't blur it anymore.
No, we did. We put more blurs, we put more sound filters on it, and WWE threw a bunch of unlisted videos flagged it for copyrights. So apologies for that. Go to Patreon though. What did you make of Hell in a Cell 2010?
Oh, a rubbish show. yeah, bad. It's managed to squeal. I enjoyed the Bryan submission match.
Me too.
It was very good, and also the Randy Sheamus Hell in a Cell match was a good match. A weak Hell in a Cell match, but a good match.
Yeah.
But that sort of sets you up to thinking this is going to be a decent show, and then over the rest of the card, it is what came after. I forgot already.
It's Sheamus Orton.
It's the long promo segment.
Yep.
And then Edge versus Swagger. Then it's Wade Barrett Cena, which isn't a good match, but I guess at least it has that shocking finish. Then it's the women's match. Then it's the Kane Undertaker match, which is one of the dumber matches of that whole year.
Yeah,
that finish is Dean Ambrose exploding telly bad.
Yeah, it is proper. And but the Force Ghost distracting him from Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, or Finn Balor and Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Yeah, well, spooky nonsense
Yeah.
is actually the reason why they lost.
But it's also, with enough time and distance, excellent. I wish I am craving something like this on Pool of X WWE. Where would you have it? Cody versus Cena at SummerSlam?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where like a little Force ghost of The Rock shows up.
A projection of Travis Scott. You can't even get The Rock in hologram form.
Oh, The Rock doesn't do holograms. Only if he might do, but he'd have to pass on notes of how it's shown on screen. But yeah, I thought the show was fine.
It's rubbish.
I get it, like it's rubbish, but it is of its time. Like it is, like it is.
It's bad. I think it's bad for its time.
I think it is of the quality that we have had for the majority of this show. Instantly forgettable. Like Night of Champions, like it was a good show, but you forgot about it immediately. I thought the same thing here. Like I immediately forgot that I'd watched this show.
SummerSlam was a better show.
Yeah.
You know, apart from the horrible finish and that Sheamus.
But I've got the same thing
Orton
about
count out.
Money in the Bank and the Raw episode of Raw that we did as well. Like these are all like really forgettable shows. But I did enjoy the three-way to start with.
Yeah.
The biggest heel of the night though was the commentary.
Oh,
Commentary was so bad on this show, and it's made me really dread having to watch Bragging Rights. But also I want to watch Bragging Rights because it sounds rubbish.
We're not going to top the Torch though.
That is. I mean, I don't know. It's a buried alive match between Taker and Kane, so there's every chance. Come on. There you go. Thank you so much for watching. Head on over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where you can get the next episode of this series right now, which is Bragging Rights 2010. And also, you've got the rest of the series up there, as well as our previous series when we did the breakup of the Shield, Cena versus The Rock. There's a bunch of stuff over there, including the archive. There's like well over 100 hours. It's probably like 200 odd hours at this point of content over there. So go and check it out. Patreon.com/WrestleTalk. We'll be back next month for the last public episode of this series, which is Survivor Series 2010. Thank you. Love you. Bye.